Peut-être nous avons assez nous tirer et chacun de vous qui met. Check this out. Peut-être nous avons assez nous tirer et chacun. All right. Loud and clear. Now feel free. It's been a little while. I didn't do any question and answers session, so it's free talk. You decide what we get to talk about. I might flow if I feel like it. But I'm really looking forward to have some interaction. So feel free to holler at me. Feel free. I had a few things in my mind really, but it's no different than what I've been saying for a good minute, for a little while. The state of the so-called conscious community. After about 2 decades that I've followed it very closely, there hasn't been much progress. We have seen plenty of fence riders, false flaggers, people who claim to be down for a particular school of thought, and when people come and diss their alleged school of thought, they aren't saying anything. So there's always examples, but it is what it is. Uh, People who willingly lie, who make up stuff, who lie about their credentials, who plagiarize, all that kind of stuff is accepted. It lies. Fortunately, it's not everybody that gives it a pass, but it's just too many. But it's all good. People are free to belong to that melting pot where everything goes. But in order to have progress, there's a need for discipline, there's a need for direction. And the Abrahamic believers, they remain on a winning, they stay winning. It is many thanks to the fence riders and the false flaggers, because at the end of the day, those Abrahamic believers, even though they have some fictional past, they share an ideology in common. I want to have a look at something real quick. Have a look at something. I want to have a look at something. Oh, it's a bit long. You might have heard about the Hebrew Israelite talking about some prophecy for African Americans. Now, I've heard it mentioned in Deuteronomy 28. Do they state any verse in particular? Because on my feed, I saw somebody putting up um, the last verse of the chapter 28 of Deuteronomy. The last verse is 68, and it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships," and so on. Wait a minute. So sometimes people like that, they try to reinvent the wheel. They want to tell you that a particular statement was a prophecy, and they are the one who say so. They just make that up. I had some people doing that with the so-called lessons of the 5 percenters of the Asiatic black man. Wait, bear with me 1 second. I'm back. So I had some people doing the same thing with the Asiatic black man lesson, talking about, well, this part is allegory and so on. But anyway, you hear it all. You hear it all. But feel free, feel free. You know, if you never called in before, then feel free. If you have called in before, feel free. I've shared the invite link so everybody is free to get on the panel. You just need to show your face. However, if you don't want to show your face for whatever reason, then you can use the chat. I wouldn't mind some interaction. And I've been uploading a few videos from my trip in Italy. There will be others coming up for my trip in Spain. But then I still have some more videos from museums. As you have noticed, I'm going through some artifacts, some pictures that are snapped in different museums, so we can have a look at some Medunetche. What's on your mind? Let me know what's up. Let me know what's up. What's good? What's popping? And indeed, it is July 2022. During summertime, there's usually less participation. People are on holiday, people are chilling, people are traveling. I hope you have an opportunity to rest during this holiday season. Now that the COVID is kind of no longer the issue that it was, apparently it's coming back a little, but it's nowhere near what it was. We had the lockdown, which was messed up, lasted for a long while. Many people went. It was a real catastrophe, really. People are more free to circulate now. There's less fear about interacting with people, which is a good thing. So you can take this opportunity of the holiday season to just clear your mind, have some rest, see different things, learn different things, different culture, languages. Then it's all good. But since nobody has typed anything yet, what does it mean to be comedic to you, as far as you're concerned? Or what does it mean to be conscious, as far as you're concerned? And actually, I made a live stream when I made a video to express my support towards brother Chris Harris. At one point, I touched on those Hebrew Israelites, but I think my mind went into something else. But I was talking about those Hebrew Israelites who dress in pink. There is a Snoop Dogg music video where we can see them, and I think there is another person, another entertainer that has actually posted a picture of them. So they are numerous. They are dressed the same and they are lined up in the streets. So a lot of people are impressed with stuff like that. Yes, indeed. I talked about that. Then I talked about the NFAC. So what those Hebrew Israelites have been doing lately. Oh, we have my brother Blaya. Hey, how you doing, brother Hotep Sen? So um, I saw that they went to holler at Gino Jennings. They went outside of his church, and apparently they were expecting or acting like they were expecting to discuss with him or have some sort of debate with him. I mean, if it was that easy, everybody would do that, you know. Now we have Olivia B. McGray who wrote Onk M. Ma'at. Well, greetings to you, Senate. You know, is it the first time you come on the platform in the chat? So feel free if you have any questions or comments, brothers and sisters. I'm just flowing really, but I'm expecting to have questions and answers and some participation. So um, there's one church where they went and things kind of went left. So we have Minemishenka and Nefer Kepera. EET sen eteren Ishakandugu Kemet. Oh, you've been here a few times. I mean, did you actually interact in the chat? I'm wondering if you changed your name because I mean I don't have perfect memory, but that username doesn't ring a bell to me. So okay, that's what I thought. No, the first time. Okay, okay. Well, welcome, welcome. May I ask how you found out about my channel? And if you want to get on the panel, feel free. If you don't want to show your face for whatever reason, it's cool. You can continue in the chat. You know. But if you have any questions or comments, then feel free. So the Hebrews were lights. In one church, do I? Yeah, you know some Mother Nature. And if you don't mind telling me, did you get to learn it by yourself, or did you learn it with somebody, or if you learned it by yourself, then which books did you use? Now, Blaya is asking, did you watch the debate between Pastor Bennett and Chris Harris? If yes, what did you think about it? No, I didn't watch it because it was a pay-per-view. So I thought they would put some excerpts, but they didn't. So um, all I know is that Brother Chris was irritated. There were some connection issues, from what I've heard. It's not something that I can confirm. And some people talking. Chris mentioning it to the moderator, and the pastor apparently being a little bit off topic. So he said he was irritated and he left. End of the story. You know. So I made a video to express my support to him. He's a good brother. Some people will try to diminish him, make fun of him, stuff like that. But it's all good. He proved himself already with Zion Lex and others. So it's all good. I hope he'll come back stronger. So yes, with those Hebrews were like at one church, things went left. One guy pulled out a gun, and what I didn't know is that apparently they've been doing that on a regular basis. On a regular basis, um, they're going to churches and they try to holler at the pastor, acting like oh, the teaching is wrong. And I don't even think it's the best way to go about it, but it makes noise. It's controversial, so I guess it helps them in a way. Now it's interesting here because the sister says that she's a member of the Shrine of Ma'at. She says she was self-taught, but their shrine also teaches Melanetic classes. It is a requirement to learn it in our shrine. I did see that debate. All right, well, feel free to speak on it. You know. And she also talks about those people acting like gangbangers, those Hebrew Israelites. I wouldn't go that far, but it's not the right method to pull up like that. And because I didn't see them going all out, using foul language and being threatening and menacing. But It's not cool to just put up on people's place of worship and want to challenge people like that when there's many other ways to contact people. I mean, with Pastor Jenny, is like, yeah, we send the emails, we try to contact, but at the end of the day, if the dude don't want to holler at you, he don't want to holler at you. Now, if you want to address something that you feel is inaccurate, then by all means, feel free. Everybody have the right to do so. You know what I'm saying? Um, but you see, there's one sister who is also a member of the Shrine of Ma'at, and she did register to the class. You know, and oh, okay. I'm glad with Pablo Mohammed's comment. I'm really glad. I'm really glad about that comment. And I suspect it's our brother uh, who never wants to show his face. But I will read his comment after. So there's one sister who's from the Shrine of Ma'at. She did register for the middle lecture classes, and after the class, at the end of the class, we had a talk. It was a group class. There were two other brothers, and we're just talking, and the topic came up. I can't remember how, and I said something that I've said publicly anyway. And I said, the Jabari doesn't know the Medu Neter too well, and the sister started, like almost shaking. Her body was, and she was irritated. She was like, how come he doesn't know the Medu Neter? His wife is a linguist. And I was like, just calm down. I'm just saying he doesn't know the Medu Neter too well. I'm not saying he doesn't know it at all. He just doesn't know it too well. And the fact that as a Kemetic priest, he should know more, something that many people have pointed out, but I'm not the type of brother that's like, banging at Jabari. For the most part, if people heard me talking about him, I didn't have much negative to say except that, he needs to know more. And I've said many times that I have noticed that he um have studied a little bit, but that's just for the record because I don't know what that sister said, who she might have said it with. But when I said that, she was really, really like physically, in the voice, you could tell it's like a it's like a diss the dude, But it is what it is. But her response was a bit strange to me, like, how come he doesn't know the Melanesia and his wife is a linguist? I mean, even if his wife is the president of a country, that doesn't change anything. But it's all good, it's all love. And needless to say, the sister never came back for the Melanesia classes. It is what it is. Now we have Pablo Mohammed who wrote, uh, how come this French fry is always worried about what goes on in the USA instead of his own Europe? My own Europe. What do you mean? I talk about Africa. Sometimes I talk about the Caribbeans, But hey, it is what it is, man. This doesn't have anything interesting and constructive to say. But that helps anyway. That's one more comment, one more thing for me to talk about. And Blaya says kick him out, and I think you're right. I'm gonna do that. You know, people act like they want some smoke, they want to talk, but they never call in. Just call in, be a man. What I'm saying, call in and let me see your face, and we can talk like men. We can be on some equal level. You have the right to disagree. I have many people who don't agree with me, who are not on the same page. There was actually one brother, and sometimes I regret because some sisters kind of, they were deterred by it. You know, they were deterred by this Asiatic talk all the time. But because the brother was courteous, but at one point he was disingenuous, so I banned him. But I took the time to go through his so-called sources all the time, and we don't share the same school of thought or philosophy. But it is what it is. That comes with the territory, brothers and sisters. Some of you are a bit new to this, but you will have a lot of people who will attack you directly, and it will be unprovoked attack just because you don't share the same school of thought, the same philosophy. You know. So sometimes I'm tempted to say the brother that I'm suspecting, but it might not be him all the time. But many times he comes in. I mean, he comes in on a regular basis. He doesn't come in every time, but he comes on a regular basis and so on. Now, uh, yeah, keep it going with the comments, brothers and sisters. I saw Storm as well. I will reach your message as well. So, um, Olivia says that those Hebrew Israelites, the ones who dress in pink, they have an acronym which starts with I think I see something, ICUI or something like that. Uh, that she wrote that they do if you see them personally, especially to women. So I wouldn't be surprised if just like GMS and I don't know if UPK do that, but GMS they were very famous for that, for being very disrespectful, using profanity, insulting women. There's plenty of footage of that. So I think they were the most famous for that. But once again, we don't really hear about GMS anymore. I mean, we could tell that many of them were quite advanced, even though they had some young brothers with them. So we don't really hear about them anymore. Uh, Now Olivia wrote, "Well, that's not untrue. He says that himself. His wife does." Well, I don't really understand what she meant by that, but people are very defensive when they speak about Jabari. He will agree that he doesn't know it well. Uh, yeah, but that's what I say. He doesn't know it too well. That's what I said. As a comedic priest, he should know way more. You know what I'm saying? It's not about knowing it all. And that's the main criticism coming from many different people. It's not the end of the world though, but this is something that he could really improve on, and it wouldn't hurt from him learning from somebody else, because if you learn it from your partner, the experience is not the same. Um, it will not be the same. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on that too much. But not just him, but comedic people in general. Uh, it's good to know the meta nature, because I'm telling you, I started my website in 2004. So it's been 18 years, and I've met so many people who said they will learn the meta nature. I've met so many people with comedic names, and then 15 years go by, 18 years go by, and those guys, they cannot even read the word hotep, the glyph hotep. They cannot even read it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a huge shame. You know. Now, Olivia wrote, yes, people love conflict. Then Blaya wrote that there's so many Islamic channel. Go there, bro. No, they rather come here. War. Are they so unsecure? I mean, they're just trying to troll, trying and to them, it's important talking points. What the dude wrote, or what is this guy? I've heard that before. You know, there was that little drama that went on because I disagree with anti-black and anti-African teachings. You know, Africans are living a jungle life, and Africans are not civilized, and black means death. You know, and when I disagree with that, I had some people that I used to be cool with talking about, "Oh, what is he so interested with what's going on in America? That guy's in France." I've heard that before, so it's nothing new to me. But some people be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's true. The guy is in Europe. Why is he so interested with our stuff?" The tribalism, the set tripping. It happens every now and then. And what side is sometimes some will bring up, your skin tone. That happened a few times. You know, so we have some people who act like we're all in this together, but then when they don't have anything to say, they will bring some stuff up that they would never bring up in the first place. So I've heard it all. I've heard it all. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? And for the future generation, it's good. It's good because some people are elitist, and I've said it many times. It's a bit sensitive. But some people on the American continent are elitist. They feel like it's the elite, and they should run the show, and whatever they say is law. You know. So now you have people who try to change grammar. You have people telling you that Osama bin Laden was melanated and Saddam Hussein was melanated, and if you don't agree, then you are you are not something good. Whatever word they will use, whatever adjective they will use. So Olivia wrote, I think the opposition can be healthy unless it becomes disrespectful. And I agree, really. That's why I usually invite people to come in and have a talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, but people coming in, and trolling like that, it happens. They in some way I kind of don't admire, but I kind of have, I don't want to say some level of respect, but some understanding They are so trapped into their whack Asiatic mentality that they feel like they must do something to uphold it, to defend that whack-ass, I'm sorry for the AWS, to defend this whack mentality of the so-called conscious community, you know, this arm, lega, I'm a head brothers, you know. So at least they're doing something for theirs, you know what I'm saying? When he's kicking it with his homies, he say, you see, I went and represented, you know what I'm saying? I told him, well, So I'm like, hey, I understand, but you can be more productive, you really can. So I'm not mad at the homie, and I've had worse anyway. I've had worse. So, but my thing is this. You see, if there are some brothers and sisters who feel like, well, if somebody doesn't live in America, you shouldn't talk about what's going on in America, then so be it. But I heard you guys talking about what's going on in Africa and ancient time in Asia as well. Have you ever heard somebody say, well, you guys are in America, don't talk about what's going on in Asia? Don't talk about the prophets, don't talk about the patriarchs. So you see, either there's a double standard or that stuff doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So, but you can understand, brothers and sisters, why people rather just, be there in the chat and anonymously to make statements like that. He knows that if he would have come on the platform, and all it takes is to click a link, whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer, all it takes is for him to click the link. And if he had his face there, he knows it would be a bad look. You know, he knows he will clown himself. You know what I'm saying? So now we have Storm who wrote, Peace, beloved. I have a few questions. What faults do you see with the NOR and what good, if any, do you see? I love that question. Now, as for the faults, I'm going to share the link first. So first, I'm sharing the link in the chat. I put NOI teachings. Okay, and keep the comments going, brothers and sisters. I go through the comments. I usually do. So, it might take a little while, but I will get there. So I have shared the link. Now I'm going to share the screen. So even if you don't watch this as it is live streaming, uh, even after, you'll have the link in the chat. All right. So okay, it's large enough. So as you can see here, Elijah Muhammad said, and it's in the book, The Theology of Time, page 92. But this is something he said. This is a speech of him. You can find it, even on YouTube. You would never be able to convert me, no, because you should first do like the preacher in the jungle of Africa and Australia and other far off Pacific islands, preach to the savage to hide his nakedness. This is the first preaching we give to a savage to cover your nakedness. All right. Then he said also, we don't consider Africa's people of the jungles anything for us to follow or be taught by. If you're not civilized, you can't lead a civilized person. And then page 92, 93, he wrote, if you tell me to go to Africa, I will go there, but don't tell me to go there to be civilized. I'm already civilized and I'm ready to civilize Africa. Besides that, um, you have the lessons that they learn by heart that goes with many different names. Now, the proper name is the lost found Muslim lesson number one. Some 5%ers call it the 120. The 5%ers lesson, for those who don't know, it's really the same as those lessons. It's just some words that have changed. You know what I'm saying? So basically, that's the root anyway. So question number 6, why does the devil call our people Africans? The answer is to make our people of North America believe that the people on that continent are the only people they have and are all savage. He brought a trading post in the jungle of that continent. The original people live on this continent and they are the ones who strayed away from civilization and are living a jungle life. So, in the so called supreme wisdom of the Nation of Islam, that the members are required to learn by heart, it says that Africans are living a jungle life. Not only that they strayed away from civilization, but that they are living a jungle life. And that's why many times you hear me say, you know, Africans are living jungle life. Africans are not civilized. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the lesson of the Nation of Islam, amongst many other things. You see. So now historically, you know, there's a lot of inaccuracies. It's inaccurate in many instances. For example, here in the book called The Science of Time, and most of these quotes are from published by MEMS publication, MEMPS, Messenger Elijah Muhammad Publication Society. And Elijah Muhammad said, he visited Egypt with many judgments until he brought Pharaoh to his knees in the Red Sea. And at last, when he was swallowing water, drowning, he opened his mouth and declared, Allah was God in these words, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Now, there's no such thing as Arabic during the time of Pharaoh. And we're talking about the Pharaoh of Exodus, so that's like circa 1500 BC. There's no such thing as the Arabic language, So that's just one thing, what I'm saying. There's also another thing. Now I've led to the video. Oh, this video isn't available anymore. What happened? I don't recall having a notification that the video was no longer there. Um, okay, hold on. So I might have to change the link then. It's a good thing. So I'm Jesus. There, I guess I was so long ago, but the video is there. I have the book somewhere, but I'm not going to look for it. So what I will do, I will update the link of the website. And you know what? For the record, just so people can have it, I will share the link in the chat. In the chat, you will see the title say, Jesus stabbed to death. It says his body. See his body for $6,000 plus Pope certificate. And then you have the link. So see his body. Okay. So now that I have the link, I will update the website. Just bear with me, okay? And keep it going with the comments and statements. Now, if somebody gets on the panel, I will prioritize the caller, okay? And I don't see anybody. So I will just update the website. Won't be long. So there's the right link. Oh, that's the, okay. Which article is this? Okay. See, it's a good thing that question was asked because I wasn't aware. So, Elijah Muhammad teachings. Boom. Now, Jesus starved to death. Oh, hold on. Now, and now if I refresh the page and I click on the link, okay, so it has been updated. Now, it says that Jesus was stabbed to death, and his body was embalmed, and his body can be seen by believers free of charge. But believers, that means Muslims. If people are not Muslim, then they need to get a certificate from the Pope of Rome, and they need to pay $6,000 to see his body. Have you ever heard any scholar teaching that? So, and there's many other things. You have all these other quotes from different teachings. So most people are not aware of those teachings. You see. All right. So the conscious community, they, for the most part, the majority of them do agree that Africans are living in jungle life and Africans are not civilized. They never express any criticism towards these teachings. And as a matter of fact, you know what? Storm here. I don't even know. I mean, I guess I played it so much. The Nation of Islam teaches that basically we are cursed. It's like the Nation of Islam version of the curse of Ham, and it will only takes 3 minutes, and this time it's in video. So, and it's in full context. So let's listen up to the teaching of the so-called supreme wisdom of the Nation of Islam. Talking about we are marked, we are disfigured, and the essence of ugliness. Our phenotype, our physical appearance, being the essence of ugliness. So let's listen up together. 3 minutes only.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair, because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you're so busy frying it. That's why you're so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If a white person would have said that, a lot of people would have criticized. If a white Jew, or even if it's not white, but if a Jewish person would have said that, those Asiatic black men, they would have ran them out, But because Farrakhan said it, it gets a pass for a strange reason. And the first time I looked at Farrakhan differently, that's when I saw this video.
Yeah, I love Elijah Muhammad enough that if you attack him, I would kill you. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I'm not a killer, but neither are you. But if somebody attack what you love, each one of you in here would become a killer instantaneously. Am I lying?
Mother, let somebody look like they're attacking your child. Here's a woman who fought a bear because the bear snatched her baby. And she ran the bear down, screaming until the bear dropped her baby. Love casts out fear. We don't give a damn about no white man law when you attack what we love. And frankly, it ain't none of your business. What have you got to say about it? Did you teach Malcolm? Did you make Malcolm? Did you clean up Malcolm? Did you put Malcolm out before the world? Was Malcolm your traitor or was he ours? And if we dealt with him like a nation deals with a traitor, what the hell business is it of yours? You just shut your mouth and stay out of it. Because in the future, we're going to become a nation. And the nation got to be able to deal with traitors and cutthroats and turncoats. The white man deals with his. The Jews deal with theirs. Salman Rushdie wrote a nasty thing about the prophet, and Imam Khomeini put out a death thing on him, and it stands today.
What the hell business is it of yours? That was years after Malcolm X is dead. Can you imagine somebody from the so-called conscious community dies, and I get on the on stage and I say stuff like that? But that's not all, though. Shortly after the death of Malcolm X, this is what Farrakhan had to say about the people who killed Malcolm X. It almost sounds like it almost sounds like praise to me, but you decide, you be the judge.
Malcolm didn't know what he was playing with. No, he didn't. He didn't know what he was playing with. You don't jump up against a divine messenger of God like he did. He asked to die. And God obliged him. No, you don't understand. Like someone said, did you Muslims kill Malcolm? So the messenger said, and what if we did? He said, what if we did? Have you ever seen a leader scandalized like Malcolm scandalized Muhammad? Have you ever heard of anything like that? Don't you know if you scandalize a man who's loved and honored by the people, what are you asking for? You're asking for death. And he got what he asked for. And those who killed him, they weren't sneaking behind no damn counter. They came in the place where the man was preaching and killed him in front of his own followers. That's fearless men. And those who were there to guard him, they were ducking. Damn cowardly dogs. Ducking and running under poles instead of trying to protect the man. And you say it's your leader? You damn punk, you don't have no leader. If he's your leader, why the hell would you stand up for him? Now all of a sudden they can serve you a dead man on a platter. And you eat him up as your leader, not knowing nothing about him while he was alive and know less about him now that he's dead. Malcolm's momentum carried him to his death.
All right. So I also have the the video where Farrakhan says that, from now on, everybody has to deal with the Dianetics program. Everybody has to be clear and so on. I've played it many times before. But I mean, if I was running with the Church of Scientology or anybody else, people will not accept it. But because it's the Nation of Islam and Farrakhan, people are silent about it. We have a so-called, I think he's a minister of the Nation of Islam who says that we can cure AIDS with raw milk. If I came out and say we can cure AIDS with raw milk, everybody will have a field day and diss me and have fun of me, make fun of me. But because the Nation of Islam member that says that it's all good, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, PhD in Islamic studies, says that milk is the food of the God. That milk is liquid sunlight. If anybody else would have said it, people would have been laughing and make fun. But because the NOI is so good, but we know why, I guess, because they are, very skilled with the trigger game. But when it's time to lay the murder game down, because everybody can look up the Hanafi murders, when they shot men, women, and children point blank in the head, So that's some of the reason why, mainly because they teach negrophobic and anti-African stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's even the audio when Falcon was making fun, of Africans and saying, at the time, it wasn't forbidden for members of the Nation of Islam to be in relationship with Africans. At the time it was like that. You know what I'm saying? So Farrakhan was answering that question, and that's when he said um, that natural hair is a disease carrier and a disease catcher. We have the audio. You know what I'm saying? So we have all those people who talk that black is beautiful and all that, and somebody says that natural hair is a disease carrier and a disease catcher. You know what I'm saying? And you can do the test. You can just ask any organization, so-called Pan-African organization or conscious organization, if they agree with the Nation of Islam teaching that Africans are living a jungle life and that natural hair is a disease carrier and a disease catcher, and we are marked and disfigured because we rebelled against God. If you ask them if they agree with that or not, they'll be very silent. Then there's two people of considerable following that I've heard criticizing those statements, and that's Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. You know, the rest is just bootlickers. You know what I'm saying? So people have to let me know. They want to come on here and say, yes, we are marked and disfigured. Our phenotype is the essence of ugliness, and more power to them. At least that will show that they are faithful to their ideology and teaching. Now, if you're not a member of the Nation of Islam, why would you agree with teachings like that? You know what I'm saying? But let me continue with the comments. Olivia wrote, I wouldn't disagree with you. And for those that get defensive, you have to wonder why or how they can call themselves comedic practitioners. I feel that we are to consider ourselves as comedic. We should know the language. There are many woke trenders in this area. What are we doing as African descendants to build unity? Many are focused on proving whose truth is truer. I wouldn't mind coming on your platform anytime. Well, feel free to come now. You know, for those who don't know, I've shared the link. It's pinned to the chat, but link to get on the panel. However, I put that in parentheses. You must show your face. This is a requirement that's been uh, there for a while. So if people don't want to show their face for whatever reason, they can just continue with the chat. So Olivia wrote, however, all receipts show that the origin of civilization began in Africa. Most scientists in the world do agree with that. Olivia wrote, this is likely because this religion was not meant for African people. Hmm. Storm wrote, I would also like to know if you have regarding the goddess segment. I don't understand that question, or any videos on segment. Well, I do have some videos where we can see segment. I have some from the Louvre Museum. I have one also from Bologna's museum in Italy, and Sekhmet would appear in many different places because she's one of the major Necheret or goddess. Now we have DSR wrote Ma'af forever in the Turin Papyrus. Tehuti teaches that the Necheru, well, Necherbe, it's okay, I know. Oh, no, my bad, my bad. Necheru, Asar, Heru, Ma'at, Set were real physical beings because their names are in chants. Is it true? Is this true? I filmed the Turin Papyrus. Um, this is an argument that Tehuti made. Um, the brother Tehuti had a debate with Jabari. Now, I wouldn't say that the Turin Papyrus, I wouldn't word it like that. That Tehuti's teaching that those gods were physical beings because their names are ancient. I don't think that's what it says. Typically, when you have a name inside of a cartouche or shen or shenu, it's the name of a king. See, I think there are exceptions, however. See, so could there have been physical persons? How would we know? It's a possibility, but we don't even have any date. We don't even have any time period for those Necheru. If anybody knows any time period for, shh, Miroud, va demander à maman, va demander à maman. If anybody has any time period for Osiris, Horus, Ma'at, Set, then let me know. And let me know how did they come to, how did they make the breakdown, you see? So we have some people who are living people and or human beings, and later on they were deified. Imhotep is an example. I have another example. It's a quote from the Oxford History of Ancient Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. So could there have been human beings that were later on deified? Maybe. Other people would tell you they're just necheru, so they are, elements of nature and so on. But I would say they are gods. I would say they are gods, and that's about it. It doesn't make a huge difference whether they were living being or not. But I don't even think it can be demonstrated that they were living people, that they were human beings. I don't think it can be demonstrated. You see. So I went through all the comments. Feel free, brothers and sisters. We've been going on for like 50 minutes, and I like the interaction. Feel free. But the link that I've shared that appears here, it's not just the sister. Anybody who wants to get in, whether you agree or disagree. Feel free to come in. Feel free to holler. But you notice those Asiatic black men, they know where they can be comfortable, in protective custody and go and speak their literature. Because for the most part, they come across people who don't really know their literature, their doctrine. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, with the excerpt that I've played of Farrakhan talking about where I'm marking disfigured and the essence of ugliness. Hold on one moment. Yeah, so if you bring that up, they will say, "Oh, we have all kind of phenotypes." You know what I'm saying? That's the best that we come up with. So once again, the only two people that I've heard criticizing these statements. So the only two people that I've heard criticizing is John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben. So let me know if you have any other questions, any statements, whether you agree or disagree. Feel free. If you have questions about the Medinature, about Kemet, about Africa in general, about America, Europe, South America, any other place, feel free. Uh, for some people, apparently, you need to be from a particular geographic location in order to address it. It's as if all those people who studied the Near East, because they are not from the Near East, then they shouldn't be talking about it. There are some people who have devoted their lives studying some cultures of areas that they are not from, and sometimes where they have never been. You know, there are some people who have PhDs in Islamic studies, and I never heard them ever being in Saudi Arabia, for example. So some people have flawed logics. They have flawed logic. Just like lately we have some new age Christian apologists who come up with some shortcuts. I mean, some statements. It's just weird. But that's a conscious community. It's all good. In the conscious community, anything goes. Anything goes. There's no method. There's no method. People wake up one day and decide to invalidate scholars, real scholars, PhDs, professors, specialists, experts, just for the sake of it. And they come with some talking points like, How did you come to that conclusion? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And the people keep on accepting that over and over again, and we don't progress. Like you remember, I mean, I'm telling you, young brothers and sisters, beware of those people who are, beware of the people who are anonymous and not identified. Because many times there's no accountability. Now, to the young brothers and sisters who get to learn this information and learn about those different channels and platform on social media, you're lucky because you are not from our era where the morals, there's a time, they were very big because they are like lyre birds, lyre birds, they are great imitators. They claim many different cultures at the same time, many different school of thoughts at the same time. So at one time they were very, very big, but now we don't really hear about them no more, because it's only so long for one can pretend. But I mean, they used to talk about Atlantis, man. Well, brothers, who used to tell us about Atlantis, about the land of Mu, about Lemuria. Oh my goodness. Alwyn Bryan wrote thoughts on reincarnation. No, no thoughts about it. I don't have any thoughts about it. I mean, I'm telling you, out of this so-called conscious community, man, it might sound funny because some of you might have not seen it. But not long ago, I'm telling you, there's a guy who came on a public platform and said that one hieroglyph means Allah, and it's the hieroglyph of the arm, the hieroglyph got on reference D36, man. I'm telling you, man, confidently, with ease, he's comfortable in front of a camera, publicly stating that a hieroglyph means Allah. Can you imagine? And that's something that came out like back in like 2008, 2009, something like that. We have return of the brother X who wrote the Moors were not sub-Saharan. When we say the Moors just like that, it's not very precise. Now, if we talk about a particular time period, then maybe we can see in details. But that term, it goes way back. I mean, and we say more. It started from the Greek mori, moros, and stuff like that. The Greek, then the Latin and stuff like that. I mean, you listen to some people like the Moors were everywhere and they did everything and the navigators and they controlled and they ruled Europe, which is some straight up BS. I'm telling you, it's just incredible, man. And that's one of the reasons why people used to talk about them a lot because they will run around and say, yeah, we civilized Europe, we ruled Europe, we conquered Europe. But you notice that when it's time to ask, okay, can you show me those Moorish rulers who were in charge of Europe, who ruled Europe? You know, where are their depictions? Where are their paintings? There's so many paintings, you know, and we have plenty of paintings, and we have people who are described as Moors, and guess what? They are white skinned. Sometimes they are black skinned, but many times they are white skinned. I think we might actually have more paintings, more depictions of people labeled Moors who are white skinned than black skinned, you know? So it was one of the greatest hoax ever, you know? We have RP who wrote technology is wrecking minds, and she wrote greetings, hosts and viewers. I hope you're doing well, Senate. Now, Return of the Brother wrote, right? Just like ancient Egyptians, they were not sub-Saharan. And what do you mean? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, brother? It's like we'll talk about music and we'll say, East Coast rap, West Coast rap. You know, this is here behind me. This is Amenhotep III. That's Akhenaten's father. I have plenty of depictions of ancient Egyptians, and they are clearly black. Clearly. So, sub-Saharan or not, the ancient Egyptians were black. You know, I don't know why we should focus on that sub-Saharan thing. Funny when it comes to the sub-Saharan slave trade. Now there's no focus anymore. Now, you hear some people talk about slavery. They talk about 400 years of slavery. They miss 1,000 years of slavery. But that's a religious solidarity. But keep it coming, brothers and sisters. Oh, actually, I missed that comment. RP said that they are still talking about Atlantis. Look at this name, Adolf X Muhammad. Oh boy, I mean, you are creative. You are creative. You're probably the one that I blogged earlier. Maybe not. I might be wrong. He asked. They have East Coast and West Coast in France. They have East Coast and West Coast everywhere on the planet Earth. For your information, they have North and South everywhere on the planet Earth. For your information. But in France, there's no big head scientist. There's no Yakub. There's no Allah is arm leg 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 arm leg leg arm head. There's there we don't have that. We don't have that in Africa either. We don't have that in Asia. We don't have that. But that basically, is a strictly American thing. We have Osar MK. What's going on, brother? Hotep Sen, ET. Osar MK is a brother who really knows Mother Nature. And it's not many, and it could be many more. But when it's time to learn the Mother Nature, people have all the excuses in the world, and it is what it is. Our brother is working on a book, so when it be ready, you have the opportunity to tell us more about it. You know. Non, non, va t'asseoir. Tu veux quoi là? Non, 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 non. Tu vas te coucher bientôt là. So yeah, feel free, brothers and sisters. Like the title says, question and answers, free talk. So Amka is saying, take my brother's course. He's talking about yours truly. For those who don't know, I'm giving Mother Nature classes. Je suis occupé, Miro. Je suis occupé. Je suis occupé, Miro. Non, non, tu vas lui donner ici, là. Je veux voir. We have Africa plug in the place to be. Cracking up. So keep it going, brothers and sisters. But yes, for those who don't know, I've been giving Mother Nature classes. You know what I'm saying? So it's not free. It's something I have to remember to tell the people because some people feel like it's free. Free of charge. They don't put any value on the effort. But it's $10 for an hour. You know what I'm saying? And like I've said, some people charge $50 for an hour. I even saw somebody else, this like a package, but if you break it down in an hour, it's like $60, more than $60 for 1 hour. So, it doesn't matter who you learn it with. If you learn it with someone, is surely way easier than to learn it on your own. Make sure that you're not learning it from pseudos who tell you that Cam doesn't mean black. People like the who tell you that Kemet means riparian land and or riparian country. You know, People who have the Asar Imhol fakes and people like that who try to make the conscious community people think brothers and sisters think that they have some degree in linguistics. Even when you ask them, they don't want to say no. They want to be slick. The dude was on tape talking with a PhD in linguistics, Dr. Combo, and the later asked him if he had any formal training. He had the nerve to answer yes. He's a liar. He's a straight up liar and a plagiarizer. So if you learn meta nature with people like that, you will look like a fool, like their followers and their groupies, who come up and say, how did they come to that conclusion only with one particular word, which is ridiculous. Now, Samka says that it's very affordable. Africa Plug wrote, how much and how long is the course? It's $10 for an hour. So people can just pay for one class. If they like it, they can continue. If they don't like it, they can stop. You know. What I'm really looking forward to is to have groups. So a group of 5 will do. You know what I'm saying? Before I was looking for a group of 10, but we we don't really have that. So a group of 5 will do. If you know some people who want to learn the meta nature, then talk with them about it, and then holler at me. The email address is in the description. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, all you need is a internet connection, and then it's good. It's on and popping. You know. So feel free if you have any comments or questions, brothers and sisters. Keep the comments going. I really like the interaction. I mean, I wish people would just call in, but hey, and that's one thing, and it's really sad. And I will always, I will always, highlight that fact. If you look at the Christians, the Hebrew Israelites, the Muslims, for the most part, you see them, you hear them, but it's almost as if being Kemetic is like a sin, something to be ashamed about. You know what I'm saying? And that's why many times I use the term, all these, these warriors and revolutionaries, when it's time to show their face, they won't. You know, are you all into illegal activities? Are you all rapists and pedophiles like the Pan Africans? You know, because for the young brothers and sisters who don't know, you know, if you feel like I want to, um, participate in the movement, in the struggle, the Pan Africans, many of them are rapists and pedophiles. And if you earn a degree, it's like it's washed away. It's all good. What they like to say is that, oh, he's a brother. Oh, he says good thing. He says good things. He says nice things. So there are some people who have raped women, others who have raped children, and they are greatly defended and supported. You know what I'm saying? It's a real mess hall. It's real messy. I'm telling you, there's no standard, no accountability, a real mess. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Now here, that's interesting here. He wrote, "You guys are not chemists. That is cut-like activity. You're a European, and others are what they are. Do you tell people, well, you guys are not? If they are Muslims, do you tell them you guys are not Saudis? If people are Hebrew Israelites or Jewish, do you tell them you guys are not Israelites or you're not Canaanites? And if people are Catholic, do you tell them you are not Romans? That stuff doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even apply. It's a double standard, you know. And those weak talking points that deter some people from being Kemetic. Those weak talking points right there, you know. Like you have many people who keep saying we are not the ancient Egyptians. You guys are not descendant of ancient Egyptians. Then he wrote, if we are not Saudis, then we are not. Okay, all right. Okay. So nothing stops anybody from being Kemetic. Saramka wrote, if you are African, you definitely have a connection to ancient Egypt. And young brothers and sisters, once again, there's very few people who will claim, no, 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 Nefer, va t'asseoir là-bas, là-bas. Wait. Saramka added, the first, doucement là. You know what? I'm going to play something. I'm going to be back. Hold on. Apparently, Scientology is cool with that melting pot. So you guys want to follow Zeno and follow the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard.
Scientology to learn. That's right. Okay, they can hear. They'll be able to hear it good through the region. Okay, then run the tape, please.
I found something here. That I know we need, that would enable us to express the supreme wisdom that we already have, but it's like having a safe full of riches, but we lost the combination. So through Brother L. Ron Hubbard, we can open the wisdom that we have and execute that wisdom in a way that Scientology will be proud of us and we of them, but we are not a people that hide our light under a bushel basket. If we know that we gain something here, we're not the type of people that are ungrateful for what we receive that allows us to be better than what we are. I believe that Master Farad Muhammad knew that a meeting was going to take place like this. I don't know whether he met Brother L. Ron Hubbard, but I believe there was some contact. Scientists are like that. They meet in small little groups and they talk. And when they share with one another, they grasp little truths that they expand on. Yes. There's something here that belongs to us. And L. Ron Hubbard was a man we were destined to meet at the proper time. So when you mention, washing feet, I sat there with tears in my eyes because the greatest gift that I could give you was to give you that which would make you what you know you already are. You understand? Yes. And if you don't, think about what I'm saying. The greatest gift that you could receive after the supreme wisdom is the technology that will allow you to manifest it. And that technology is here. I discovered it, and I wanted you to see what I saw, hear what I heard, feel what I felt, so that you wouldn't be timid or afraid of knowledge that will help us to be ourselves. And so I invited you. And as I watched you relate to each other tonight, I said every believer in the nation needs what you experienced in this week. Nobody can lead in our nation until and unless they become clear. Are you with me? We have no school of theology. We just study the word and do the best we can, but the time is out for that. Everybody has to be qualified to have a position or post in the Nation of Islam. Master Farad said the Nation of Islam is all wise and does everything right and exact. Mistakes shall not exist in the nation. Meaning they'll be made, but you wipe them out by doing better. So I am grateful that you came. And now, as I see, my time is coming. Whatever that may mean to you. If I could leave you with a science and a technology that will open up the wisdom that you have quoted for years, but when you look at accomplishment, wisdom is known of its children. It's not what you say, it's what you can produce. So I hope, as Brother Shane X said, that this is not an end, this is a beginning, I pray, of a long and beautiful relationship. L. Ron Hubbard would be proud at this moment. And as I sat listening to you, I said we need to go back to Chicago and set up a training center where we can bring all those who would want to be a part of this mission into Chicago like they do at their Mecca in Florida, and teach them and train them and then send them out with qualification to do the job of the resurrection of our people. Man, I got to go now, but I tell you, I hope that you all have a safe flight tomorrow. In fact, I think you'll be...
All right. Okay. So he can do the job of the resurrection of our people by being clear and following the program of the Church of Scientology. Some people are trying to be slick and say, well, we don't follow the Church of Scientology, we follow Dianetics, as if it was different. So I will go through the comments, but it's so funny that we have all these scholars, all these elders of the so-called conscious community who will talk very positively of Sheikh Anta Diop, claim that they have respect for him. Now we have those dudes or some pseudos who have the nerve to say that Diop was wrong and that he guessed. And none of these scholars have anything to say. You know, now Asiatic black men, it doesn't surprise me. Many of them don't like Diop. Many Asiatic black men don't like science. If you ask them, would you have Sheikh Anta Diop as a leader, as your leader, the ruler of your country or territory or kingdom or whatever, or Osama bin Laden? The majority of Asiatic black men will tell you that they'd rather have Osama bin Laden as a ruler of their country. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't surprise me. But we didn't really, we're not used to having so-called comedic people who will go that far in being disrespectful towards Sheikh Anta Diop. Because to disagree with someone is one thing, but you just say outright that he guessed because you happen to have met someone who told you something about the word of language, and that flies, man. That flies, man. Where is the accountability, man? Where do people say, well, stop, slow your roll now. You're going too far. It's just crazy, man. You know, what goes around comes around, man. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's the up. Sometime it will be those same guys who ain't saying nothing now, and they're gonna wish that some other people will be like, "Hey, slow down, slow your roll." But you want to let it like that? You want to let the conscious community be like that? Okay, no problem, no problem. So, Return of the Brother X wrote Farrakhan basically told his people to go under the command of the white man. All of the NOS stuff was BS. Which basically, okay, that's about the same comment. Okay, all right, okay, well. So, if you have any comments or questions, statements, and feel free, brothers and sisters, telling you, young brothers and sisters, go to any organization and ask them. The Nation of Islam teaches that Africans are living jungle life. The Africans are not civilized. And you can play that 3 minute clip and ask them, do you support Farrakhan? You'll see they will all say yes. All the so-called Pan-African organization comes, they will all say yes. Most of them will say yes. So I'm not saying go to war with people. I'm not saying beef with people. I'm saying that as a human being, you have the right to say, I disagree with those teachings. You know, the so-called conscious community, I'm telling you, is ran by Asiatic black men. They are the ones who's running the so-called conscious community, man. They are the ones running the so-called conscious community, man. So if some of you feel like we are mocking this figure because we rebelled against God, then feel free. Be my guest. Come and holler. Otherwise, if you want to talk about any other topic, then feel free, brothers and sisters. And it's a shame that the Twitter finger people, you know, they don't show up. Hey, we have our brother Osai Kai.
Man, in the top 10, Aquas the Jet, Uncle Johnson, now dua to the chat. Dua. Y'all know what it is, man.
What's up, Sen? Feel free to speak, brother.
In the top, son. Man, I'm just bugging out. I was, me and Saber Reggie just got off the phone not too long ago. We was, watching, him and Infudishi in the museum over there on, the other brother's channel, Sanetra. And, just the just the observance of looking at people trying to explain what's going on in ancient times, and people who can read, see what's going on, see the statements made, tell you what's really happening in the scene, describe it because their names and stuff are there, whether it's a netra, whether it's a person, whether it's so and so, and just kind of the hoopla around the whole thing, man. And I see one thing I respect about Islam. Uh, if you claim to be a sheikh or an imam, they will check you on your pedigree. You're not just going to run around talking about I'm sheikh so and so, and no one is going to check you on your pedigree and ask you, okay, where did you learn from? Where did you get this from? How do you know that? What's your evidence for this? You're not going to run around saying you imam so and so, and they just going to let you. Now, you can do that as a preacher, which is no disrespect to Christianity, but you can hop up and say, hey, I'm preacher so and so, this, that, the other. But if you respect the preachers, you'll recognize the school of divinity that they graduated from. Right? So so if you don't have a particular school you went to, you need to show the skill level that you're on in order to maintain it, right? So if you don't have the pedigree from a particular school, which you don't need, you need to have the pedigree with your knowledge and your wisdom and your comprehension of the subjects. So when it comes to what they call Kemetic spirituality, or what we call Shemsu, following, you know, guidance through particular Necharu in nature. When you're a Shemsu Asar, or a Shemsu Haru, or a Shemsu Jehuti, or whatever creed you follow in life, there are pedigrees and levels to this. There are pedigrees and levels to this, right? You don't just hop up and say I'm a high priest if you don't have, I'm a Shemsu Asar. I consider myself a Uab priest. Why? Because I deal with the astronomy on the first level. Because I still venerate some of my brothers. My brother Felix here, my brother Felix here, he gets veneration. All of my partners that passed away, they get veneration. You understand? My kera is built. The feather is below, right? You get veneration. So there's certain things you do as a priest. And if I said I'm a high priest and then somebody went to go read Nebwawi's, temple, they went in there and read his where it says he's Ma'akeru, and they talk about the things he does. If I'm not able to do the same things he does and he's a high priest, how am I the high priest? And so people are running around with pedigrees and claims you don't really have the credentials for. You don't have the credentials for that. And so it's time to start to take what we have and make sure we're on point. We have to make sure we're on point, because any Johnny come lately can come in here and just tell you whatever and just do whatever. Right? I know you could read the Medu Netra. So if you say you could teach a class on Medu Netra, we have no problem with that. I know Smash could read Medu Netra. I know Ujao could read Medu Netra. You know I could read Medu Netra. I know I'm not going to slip some crazy stuff into the Medu Netra class that has nothing to do with Medu Netra. It's just my own opinion. When people start to do slick stuff like that, you have to be careful of your teacher. But right now, we're just talking about your pedagogy, your pedigree when it comes to what you actually know. Right? So some of these brothers, you got to take a step back and pick up the art, pick up the, go and do what you got to do. Because I seen where it was going. Go pick up the art. Go learn your Medu Netra before you start saying I'm a high priest of so and so. Pick up your start back at wild priest. Discipline yourself. Discipline your mind, because a lot of these guys, you running around and you moving too fast. You're moving too fast. It's like saying Kim don't mean black. You moving too fast. Slow your roll. Everywhere we see it mean black. Slow your roll. Right?
Yeah, that's a Saim Hofek and Ujao, But I mean, there's one guy in particular, like I said, he can just improve. He just needs to take the time and the effort. It doesn't take that long. I don't think he does a 9 to 5, so it's on him. And as long as he's not doing that, he will keep on getting that criticism. Which is fair criticism. You know, but he's probably not the only one. But indeed, whoever claims to be a Kemetic priest, that's the least. To have some basic knowledge of the Medu Netra, because
That's
this
right.
is something that has been that we've seen. We've seen that, and at some point, uh, it's almost embarrassing, when you see somebody that's claiming to be a Kemetic priest, and he is in front of some Medu Netra, and he will read a name or two, and the rest is just make some interpretation. We don't need to, we don't need to be at that level, you know. But everybody do what they want. It's all good. You know what I'm saying?
And
But
that's
but
key, yo. Absolutely.
this it's not. I mean, it's something that can be fixed very easily. It can be
Yes.
fixed very easily. Now you see, we have entertainment. Entertainment and Debate Programming Network wrote, "Do you have to read Meta Nature if you claim to be a Kemetic priest?" Yes, you do. You know,
Yeah, if you
I've never seen an imam who doesn't know Arabic.
right, you can't, because you know what they tell you in Arabic. If you don't know Al Fatiha, you there's a certain amount of Arabic you must know. You must know Al Fatiha by heart, and if you don't, you need to know the 7 verses at least. And you couldn't lead a khutbah just knowing 7 verses, but you could at least make your prayer. And they make it a mainstay that you know Arabic. Now you don't have to know Medu Necha in order to be a Shemsu. No. But if you claim to be a high priest and you don't know Medu Necha, you don't know. I ain't even asking Demotic. I ain't asking cop. I ain't asking for none of the hieratic. I ain't asking for that. You don't know basic hieroglyphic. You don't know basic towns Medu Necha, which they had on all the walls where all the people could read it. You have to know. And so that, and I'm gonna check myself, even myself. That's why I call myself a wild priest. People who know me call me higher than that. Don't. I'm just a wild priest because there's other functions I also need to be able to do. But for my brother Jabari, for my brother myself, for anybody hopping in learning Metal Netra, Zion Lex, for anybody, before you run around talking about for Saber Reggie, for Saber Infudishi, for whoever, for our brother Ma'at on the line, Smash, anybody. Before you hop up and say that I'm priest this, I'm priest that, I'm this, that, the other, and this ain't pointed at nobody in particular, I'm just saying this in particular. Before you hop up, know that there's a line of things that you need to do, right? For instance, Weapon Pet is coming. A lot of you still screaming July 24th, right?
And that's the
July
new
20th.
year the brother's talking about.
Yeah. Hey, July 24th, that's the new year, right? Sirius don't rise on July 24th this year. Tell them, baby. Tell
Now, you see, we have the brother Daniel Heru. He asked, does the priest have to be fluent or just have basic knowledge of the Medu Neter? Now, to say
them.
that someone is fluent of the Medu Neter, that would be subjective. But I mean, you see, the things that a lot of our brothers and sisters are not familiar with the Medu Neter. Some, unfortunately, feel like it hasn't been deciphered because that's the easy route. That's the lazy route that a lot of people have taken. You have a lot of people who talked about Kemet all day. And then when they realize that they didn't have much knowledge, they just prefer to say, well, it hasn't been deciphered. It's just easier. But so sometimes they will see some people talking about Kemet, maybe showing some text, and they would just say a name or two, and they feel like, oh, whoa, he knows the Medu. But this that's not it. That's not it at all. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, I mean, it's a language like any other language. Don't be fooled by people who say that it hasn't been deciphered. This is not even an issue. And I mean, so funny things that you have some people who have Kemetic names and they tell you that it hasn't been deciphered. And they talk about Kemet. So when they talk about Kemet, they got the information from somewhere. You know, they might have got it from whatever shrine they were dealing with. I mean, sorry, whatever. What's the name again? How do you call it again?
Which one?
Uh, Craft. Whatever craft they're coming from,
Yeah.
or they got it from some Egyptologists. You know, when they tell you Akhenaten did this, Amenhotep III did this, and all that. So those people, those scholars, when they broke down the history of Kemet, where do you think they got the information from? They got it
Allah.
from the text. They got it from the Medu Neter. You
Allah.
know. So if anyone really fears that the Medu Neter has not been ciphered, he should not be talking unless he says we got that from the Greek. Unless he says we
Well,
got that from the Greek, and he references which Greek text he's talking about. But I don't think we have many Greek texts that would talk about Akhenaten and Amenhotep III and all those classical dynasties, up to the 18th dynasty and so on, the Middle Kingdom, the Middle Egyptian era. I think the Greek text will be more about the late period, but I might be wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that just doesn't make sense, And once again, brothers and sisters, these hoax of Mother Nature not being deciphered, it really started with Walter Williams, who's not a doctor to my knowledge. If he's a doctor, let me know what he's a doctor of, because many people refer to him as Dr. Walter Williams. You know, I understand you got out of the Abrahamic belief system and you were happy to have some books telling you that such and such person didn't exist. But these 2 pages over that book in 1998 or so, where he explained why he feels Mother Nature has not been deciphered, I mean that doesn't hold any weight whatsoever. And like I said, I'm sorry to repeat myself, it was published on the Maathian Press, and he greets Saint Maat Hotep. Why would you greet Saint Maat Hotep if the Mother Nature has not been deciphered? You know, so it has definitely been deciphered. And please, some brothers and sisters who like to say, "Oh, the cracker beast couldn't have deciphered it." That's just ridiculous. That's just, and there's many people who have worked on the hieroglyphic. You know, even before the Europeans did. You know,
Oh, the Arab brother. Why?
yeah,
Ibn Wachia, who
yeah.
deciphered it before Champollion.
Yeah,
So
he didn't get everything right, but he got some things right, and we have the Coptic, so we need to stop with that, if and if some brothers and sisters don't want to learn it, they don't have to. But just because you don't want to learn it, don't say it hasn't been deciphered. That's just ridiculous. Because if we want to be fair game, then no, Mirut, arrête. Oh, one moment, one moment.
and let me add to what our
Yeah, yeah.
brother,
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Yeah,
because he you talking our brother, my brother Seti, my brother General Seti, you young Pharaoh, I'm talking to all of y'all, man, all of y'all, and I already included myself. So don't, I ain't skipping, I ain't above retrieval. You understand? Go pick it up. My brother Daniel had rule in the chat. You don't have to be fluid, but you can't be screaming, I'm priest this, I'm priest that, and you can't read anything. If you can't read a basic sentence, you in trouble. You in trouble. Because now you're telling me, oh, these symbols mean this or that, right? Or you telling me this, that, the other. See, I could respect our brother got an affinity with the Sorry Methodist, y'all know. But I can at least respect what they do because I know they've taken the time to at least understand the glyph that they're trying to redetermine as something else. So that's respectable. But for those running around and you can't read this, you can't read that, no, no, there's pedigrees. And who set the pedigrees? It's not us who set the pedigrees. No, the Aku set the pedigrees. It's on the stellars. It's on the stellars, right? We don't have to look right before I leave the house real quick. Let me pull this out because I can't share on here on my phone. This is Nebawi, okay? This is Nebawi. This is a brother who is a priest of Asar. He tells you, he says, the Jedef iu keper kereb in ikaet ashaat. He says, I direct numerous works in the domain of works. That's what it says right there. Im aper it f asar, in the domain of his father Asar. I wouldn't even know that it ends right there and starts with in with this M here if I didn't know how to read Medunecha. You understand? So these are the simple things. And I know it's his from this F. Because if I see the Medunecha, I'm going to know that's a horned viper. So there's certain things I'm just going to know from reading Medunecha. So if I don't have anybody with me, if I don't have the European book with me, if I don't have the Arab book with me, I don't have the African book. We can't discredit our African scholars. If I don't have it, I need to know it. I can't, well, I think it says this. Oh, well, look, these are beautiful pictures and all. No, no, because what you do is the people look at it as a sham, and it's not a sham. I
Mm.
speak a few different languages. You
And
understand? What up,
yeah,
brother Chris?
and I agree. And welcome to you, brother Chris. And just before you go, brother Chris, what I was trying to say, I have my daughter disturbing me a little bit, but we need to be all fair game for those who want to say that the meta nature has not been deciphered. We have the cuneiform writing. We know a great deal about those ancient civilization, and Sumer, and the Near East, the Levant, and all that. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear anybody saying that the cuneiform writing has not been deciphered. Why? And the Hebrew at one point was kind of a lost or slash dead language. Then they went through some reconstruction. So there's that double standard that just doesn't fly. But go ahead, brother Chris, feel free.
Oh no, no, no. I was just stopping by saying what's up, man. That's it.
Oh,
Brother
well,
Chris,
feel
let's
free
stop this,
anytime.
What up,
y'all.
Asar? What up, Asar?
Yo,
Long time.
so I'm gonna be straight up and down with y'all. If you running around and you screaming pedigree, have your pedagogy ready. Because as a priest, there's certain things you do. As a family member, sometimes most of you ain't you've never written a letter to the dead. Some of you just starting to speak to your grandparents just because it's psychological to get it off your chest. You understand? That's the purpose in doing something of that nature. And then reflecting on the words that they left you, reflecting on the things that they taught you. You don't care about the dead until it's an important person like Tupac, and then everything Tupac and Biggie say, you know it. So don't tell me don't venerate the dead because you still sing Tupac and Biggie records like they was alive and you reminisce like they was still here, especially if you from my era, don't you?
And if you
You could
don't know, now you know.
you recite every word from the atheist to the Muslim to the huh? You just had to, wasn't it the brother from Iran, the president of Iran? He was like, Tupac would have did this when he was talking to Trump. Didn't he say that? Huh? Because you venerate the dead quickly, but then you act like it's stupid. You turn around, you worship Jesus. You turn around, you quote Muhammad. You turn around, you quoting Moses. All them people is dead, and most of y'all believe they lived. But you mad because the ancient African culture been doing it for years. That's where you got it from, and you won't even look it in his face and give it the proper respect and its proper due. Pick your face off the ground. Because you run into everybody else in order to be you, instead of running to you to understand you. Oh, the Muslims do this, but the Africans did this. Yeah, but that's African. Exactly. It's African. Pick it up and dust it off. Dust your shoulders off. Huh?
And brothers and sisters, Samka earlier was talking about the Fatiha. Nobody will be an imam if he doesn't know the Fatiha. Now, Fatiha is translated as opening, and many of you have heard the Fatiha, but you just might not know it's called like that. You know, but it goes, and I don't know the full thing, but it starts with Bismillah Rahman Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and then there's some more. You see, so you've heard that. Now,
Let's
Muslims knew that. You see,
Let's say it.
now.
Let's say it for him real quick, brother. Then you could go. Because if you can't do this, and I've called Al Fatiha, I've led a congregation before. I'm a former Salafi. It goes Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم خير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. And it's supposed to end right there. But you put Amin in there. Where'd you get the Amin from? That's a whole nother story in Africa. But if you can't do that, you ain't no Imam. You ain't no Sheikh. And if you claim to be, they'll step to you, they'll kill you. You should still, they will kill you straight up and down. You should also be able to do the same thing. Dihatep nesu necha asar, necha ah. You can't even do that, half of you.
And that's the thing. And you see now, if somebody wants to become a Muslim, it wants to become a Muslim, then he must do what they call the Shahada. So Shahada is translated usually in English as testify. You see, so they get to say it in Arabic, and it's ashahadu la ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulullah. Now I'm not fluent in Arabic, but it goes something to that effect. You see, but the so-called Kemetic people, we cannot. Most of them cannot lay even one sentence. And what the brother Osam Ka just said, that's a typical offering formula. Hotep Dinesu, Usirne Cher Aaneb Abju, and so on. You know what I'm saying? And all this time that we talked about Kemet, all this time that we talked about the Medu Nature, we could be going through the glyphs. The only people I went through the glyphs with so far is Saimka, brother Reggie, and maybe every now and then some other brothers. Of course, Mash Rockwell on his platform most of the time. So like I can count them on one hand. Why is it so? Why don't we progress as a people? Why don't we take it further? Sometimes you have some Hebrews who lies in the street. They will talk about their literature. And sometimes if you want to quote some passage and stuff like that, sometimes you will see that say, well, I'm saying that passage says this actually, the Hebrew word is that word, and that word means, and then, they try to save themselves. They have a little bit of knowledge of that language that they consider to be their language. You know what I'm saying? So, but what about us? Now
I'm
we
right.
have people who come up and say, oh, that glyph D36, the army means Allah. Nobody
Right.
refutes it. Nobody refutes it. You know what I'm
But you
saying?
the simple thing. They can't do the simple things, Saber. Hetep nasu asar, nepta desher, dief peret keru tihenket, ia apedju, ket neferet wabet, inkain, himnetchaheket, nebwawi, ma'akeru. That's from my brother Nebwawi, since he taught us the lesson today. Hetep nasu in heket, heret ib abju, di paret nebet hor wajahu es raneb in kain emi per in asad nebwawi ma'akeru. He's the true voice. We're going to tell him like that. An offering which the king gives to Asar, Lord of the sacred land, that he may give a voice offering the bread, beer, cattle, fowl, and everything good and pure for the ka, the priest, Heket, Nebwawi, the true voice. We don't need to give it to him physically. It's called the voice offering. We have those too. You ain't even stopped to give your Aku a voice offering. You ain't stopped to take this metal nurture class, but you bumping your gums about Kemet all day, and he telling you $10, and you probably about to go to the bar tonight and spend 20. Drop 10
But
bucks for my man's, get in the class, do what you do.
and the funny thing is that when I started doing the classes, that was the time when Google Hangout was still there. It's just about before they stopped Google Hangouts, and I was doing it free of charge. There wasn't even a turn up, you know. But then eventually there's a good brother, Kafra, used to go by another name. I forgot the other name first. He told me, I'm saying I want to learn. Money is not an issue, and then the rest is history. But I mean, like donations, like how many super chats was there? Nothing. So it looks like Kemet is not sexy, or the Medu Necha, let's say. Medu Necha is not sexy. It's not the new black. It's not hip, And I know that many of our people, they like the thing that's accepted by the majority, and the Abrahamic belief system. That's what is ruling the game. And the people who talk about Kemet and mix it with this Abrahamic stuff to try to cater to what's the other word? Um, to try to appeal to the Abrahamic believers, they are very, very popular. They are very, very popular. You know what I'm saying? So if people tell you that, Christ derives from Karest, now you're happy now. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And we ain't doing that over here. We just trying
No,
to
no,
be back on point,
no, we
put
don't
you
need to
back
do
to
that.
your ethics and codes. You don't even have to deem yourself spiritual. There's atheists in Kemet, which I show them in my classes. And my class is free. The heck in the chair class online. Go click on it just because it's a basic guide to get you going. So
Now, where can we people get to this thing? Do you have a
uh
link, brother?
there's I'd have to pull it up. I'm over here about walking out the house. It's called HKN New
But that,
Word.
that's not your YouTube account, is it?
No, there's another one.
So
There's an actual class online. And if you start to do the courses and finish the quizzes,
Mm,
I give you your grade and I give you some more comprehension. I
okay.
bring you over to our Facebook pages, and then I
Right.
put you in the Temple of Ba'u Ra over
Mm,
there, as opposed to just a heck in the chair.
right.
Uh,
So HK and then
HKN and then new word NTR.
uh but is that a YouTube channel?
It's a Google Classroom. So
But if I want to share it, because I was looking for a link to share it.
I'll put it on another time you do a channel, only because I gotta click and paste and all that. I'm walking
Oh,
out.
okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, you go through there. It's going. I got real easy, basic classes so that you can get a comprehension, you can get an understanding. You get a free book of coming forth by day. You get the free link to Dixon's dictionary. You get some other links you don't have, a guy, and you get some books. That's free, just so you can start your path correctly and you can have a good understanding of what's going on. Because a lot of, like I said, a lot of people, they got you doing stuff. And if I ask you where they do that back then, don't nobody know.
It's
If
like
I ask,
this. But no, we can get some clarity. We can get some clarity. We can learn. If you want to honor your ancestors, if you want to honor people who were before you and did good things, you know, you can learn what they were all about. You know what I'm saying? And if you are convinced about what you are all about, then you just go ahead. You're not gonna switch side and jump ship every time somebody's gonna come and say, oh yeah, but I found that text says this, or the contendings of Horace said that's to be suspect, and this and that. I mean, if you were to talk about suspect things in other belief systems and negative things in other belief systems, I mean, I don't think we have the monopoly on that. You know what I'm saying? Because Abrahamic literature, I mean, they have all kinds, all sorts. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes I hear females. I remember sharing some hadith, and I think that's Sahih Bukhari, and a lot of Muslim people don't know that, but Muhammad said, according to the hadith, he said that the majority of inhabitants of hell are women, and he said that women are inferior in intelligence and religion.
yeah,
You know,
fact. He also said that everything black damn near is a jinn and evil and should be killed. Kill the black dog. Kill the black this. Remember, he slapped all that equipment on one of his slaves. He said, "But you're a ship. You're black and you're a ship." His exact words. Uh, so there's a lot of stuff that you find with different cultures. I mean, if you go through that Bible, oh, he's son of Ham. It's black this. It's this, that, the other. It ain't this. It need to be put to death. It's no. So it's just it's not the case. And when you're a Shemsu, you don't have that hang up. And you respect other spirituality systems or religions for that matter, but you don't have to demonize them. You know where they come from. You know their stem of you, and you know the deviance behind each one, and you know the greatness of yours and the pleasure it is to know that the Necharu are the universe around you, including you. And so it gives you, and it lets you know, and scientifically, what I say is always proven. Is always proven. So it won't be like when we talk about Necharu, they'll be like, oh, but that's a make believe, because we'll go right and show you where the text tells you what it is in nature, what it is on your body, and what it is in spirituality compared to a mythos that tells you about an actual happening in the universe. So you'll understand those ancient mythos and why they tell it like they tell it, who's who, what's what, and you'll be able to describe your universe. And when you know the universe is alive, because we'll go right to science to prove it, Ask an atheist if the universe is alive or dead.
But they love to talk about the nature. They
Yeah, they
love to
love
talk
to
about
talk
the
about the
gods.
universe
You
until
know.
we start talking about the universe, and then all of a sudden, nah, but see, and you don't want to talk about the universe with me because that's what I do. I relate everything to science,
Mm,
and it ain't nothing you could do about it because science comes, as we had the discussion before with our brother Sar Amenhotep. Science comes from African spirituality. What nothing he could do about it, except for switch they talk to. Science comes from spirituality. When we finished having that discussion, and after I showed where it came from, after I showed what the Neteru are in their astronomy text, that $5,000 book that you see, the three books, I got it right over here at the house. So yeah, all that stuff we unveil all that stuff. And when we go over it and we see who the first dentist are and how you would call out the Heru before they pulled the tooth out and all that stuff like that, yeah, we cover all that. We cover all who was first, who was what.
and we need to value our stuff because, like I said a few times, if the Hebrew Israelites or the Christians or the Muslim has some artifacts that they could show from museums during the lifetime of their patriarchs, we will know them. We hear about them all day, every day. But we have writings that come so long after the so-called lifetime of their patriarchs and the prophet. And we have stuff during this time period. We have stuff before this time period. And now and still people act and talk as if they can um, confirm the historicity of their patriarchs.
Right,
And historically, to me, I'm waiting. And that's why they love to talk about the Neteru. That's why they love to talk about the gods of Kemet. They're looking for something. But every time, tell them, okay, that's the Neteru. What about the pharaohs? What about Amenhotep III? What about Thutmose? What about Hatshepsut? What about QNT? There's so many to names. There's so many to name. There's so many names.
what about
Now,
Wineg, the Nahesi in the pre-dynastic periods? What about the Nahesi kings that started out when they start talking about what no black people, what no sub-Saharan, whatever sub-Saharan is, huh? What about TU, huh? We go to the first ones before Narmer when it first start coming into play, and I pull up that face and that nose and that look, and that's you. And we see the Libyan visitors that were there because they got statues there too. And we can look how each one of them got buried because we got the book for the excavation. It ain't difficult to uncover. Why everybody running to their DNA? I'm gonna be like, pull up the DNA for him. Pull up,
I'm,
pull up the
I'm,
DNA for Winegbu, the Nahesi, right now. Pull him up. All that stuff. So there's certain texts that, like I said, if you go to Ramos tomb, and he start talking about where you see in Edfu where you see the discussion about Horus and how he tell you Set is the Nahesi. Get him because there's beef because there was a traitor amongst them because he killed the Tsar and all that. And you're gonna know. You'll know. You'll understand. It'll start to come full circle. What these things are. Uh, how old the people are historically from the Greeks, from all of that stuff comes out. And it's all through being able to read the Medu Neter and comprehend the story of your African brother and sister. When they call a Asian a Amu and a Mentiu, and then we go to the wall and we see the picture and we see, let's read that. That's the Mentiu. Or when they see keep the Amu out, the door bolt doesn't slide back for the Libyan or the Amu, and why it doesn't, and the treachery behind certain things, and the treachery you still experience today, you know. And so, if we're going to heal with them, we need to understand who they are, and what they did to you. And then, if we're talking, you know, Ptolemaic era. We can find Europeans there. We have a brotherhood there. We can find Arabs there in the Persian era. We can start a brotherhood. But it needs to circumvent through this particular order because your ancestors will show you exactly how to do it and how to do it the best and how to be careful when you deal with other cultures who may have an ulterior motive for you.
And you mentioned the Asiatics. We have. I mean, sometimes it's called like a table of nation or something like that. But it kills me when I see Hebrew Israelites talking about black Hebrews, black Jews in Kemet, and we clearly have depictions of Asiatics, most likely Canaanites. Sometimes some scholars will put Canaanites. And we have the depictions, and they clearly look Caucasian. And the thing is that it's been years. It's like that. People talk so much when they are Abrahamic, but the amount of history that they talk about is extremely limited. It's mainly theology. We have the records. We have the records. We have them in museums. And people try to ignore it. People try to ignore it. And lately, once again, I'm sorry to repeat that, but we had Torah Kabeh was trying to make excuses for the standard of war. And I didn't even go through all the other artifacts. And the dude went as far as talking about Osama bin Laden was melanated.
I went by Osama bin Laden's house and his brother's house in Egypt because my partners live right next to it over there by the golf course. And I can tell you, everybody has a degree of melanation, but
That's just crazy. Now, you
off
speak
on
a
black.
little bit. You speak a little bit of Arabic, right? Now, so you know what abiyad means, right?
Say it again.
Abiyad.
Abiyat, black,
Yes,
right?
abiyad. No, aswad is black.
Oh, you talking
Abiyad
about
is
slave?
no, just the word abiyad or bayada. The feminine form.
By say it again.
Well, it might be my accent,
I'm
because I'm not fluent in Arabic, but in English they'll put it they'll put Abyad.
like Abby, right?
No, 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 not Abid.
Abby,
Abyad. Abyad.
Abiyad.
White.
Okay.
White.
Yeah,
And
yeah, Abiyad is white.
yeah, yeah. No, indeed, Abid is slave. But um, now what those people what those people have done, Wesley Muhammad is known for having jumped on that. But there's another brother who wrote a book called The Unknown Arabs. I think he lives in Morocco. I'm not sure, but he's anonymous. But they used, what's the quote again? Lisan al Araba Ibn Mandur, when he says, when the Arabs say that such and such is black, they don't mean that, I'm sorry, when the Arabs say that such and such is abiyad, they mean such and such complexion. So they try to use that quote, you know,
Like when they
to try to,
talking about the prophet Shin and all that, and the prophets. She said it's Abiyad. Yeah, yeah, I've seen that argument before.
yeah, I mean, I had to deal with that. I made an article about that. But all these linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastics, because we have the Hadith, we have Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and indeed Muhammad, they talk about the whiteness of his cheek, whiteness of his stomach, whiteness of his leg, and so on. You know what I'm saying? And he's described also as white man, Rajul Abiyad. So what did they say? Okay, let's deal with that. Now, Abiyad doesn't mean white; it means black. It means hinty complexion. Complexion of what is it? I forgot the word in English, but that stuff you have in the field. I think is it wheat? Hinty. But I mean, they came up with so many things, and they pulled up that quote from, what's the name again? What's the name of that hadith again? Tabari, is it Tabari?
I think it is
Uh,
Tabari. Yeah, Ibn
at
Tabiri.
Tabari, where he's described by Asmar. So now they try to say Asmar is black, but that hadith is labeled as gharib, which means odd, which means strange. The author he himself says that that's the only case where there is this description. You know, otherwise he says that he was not brown, he was not asmar. So we have some people who try to tell us that Muhammad was jet black, when according to the Islamic literature, we are told that he was neither white nor brown. And when they say white, many times they said, what's the term again? Alam haq. He was not extremely white.
Right.
It's not like he had leprosy. You know what I'm saying? And it's understandable in Arabia, somebody is not going to look like someone from Spain or Italy. You know what I'm saying? So indeed, they try to make the
Right.
distinction between their complexion and the complexion of the Romans. But once again, their own hadith says that he was not a smart, he was not even brown. But yet, some people have trying to find some acrobatic linguistics to make us believe that Muhammad was jet black, and the Arabs of the 7th century were jet black. We are so in we have so much creativity when it's time to change the grammar rules of several languages to try to fit ourselves into some narrative, but we're not interested in the traditional African stuff.
No, we're
And, and-
stuck on them because we're taught as children to call upon these particular people and the saviors from these particular fields of thought when you're a child. And
yeah.
so when you get older and somebody says that's not heaven right there, heaven is different, you almost freak out. You
Oh, it's
freak
at
out. First you
Tirmidhi
go
actually.
into
My bad. It's not at Tabari. It's at Tirmidhi.
it's not Ibn Tabari. Okay.
Yeah, it's at Tirmidhi. I mean, I
So
have I have I can always pull up the article, but um, of
he
Muhammad's
says
call.
The Rasul is Abiyad, says Rasul Abiyad,
Let me show you now.
prophet white, basically.
So now the
Ibn Tamiya.
yeah, at Tirmidhi, you see, uh,
Okay.
Jamia Tirmidhi. Is it? Yes, large enough.
Yeah.
Jaja
It
Tirmidhi.
says I ain't got that. I
Um,
do.
no, no, hold on. The one that was. Hold on. Let me go back up. Um,
Okay.
no, 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 that's not Tirmidhi. So where is it? Um,
I know the ones you're talking
oh
about
yes,
because
yes, it is. It
them
is. It is at
hadiths was.
Tirmidhi. Yes, it is at Tirmidhi. And it
I
says,
thought so.
yeah, it says the messenger of Allah was of medium stature, neither tall nor short, with a beautiful dark brown complexion. You see, this is how Western Muhammad has translated dark brown complexion. Notice here it doesn't say black. He says dark brown. He's being careful because he knows he has some peers. But we have
You
Asmar
know, you got
alone.
Muslims. Muslims are trying to kill you over certain stuff. They'll
Yeah,
try to blow you up when you come,
yeah. You know,
and that's why it's dangerous you need click in order to step out on a rim, or you have to be fearless like some of us are. You know.
and the things that you see, he translates that as dark brown complexion, and the Arabic is Hassan al Jism Asmar al-Lun. Now al-Lun, we know that's color. Asmar, that
Mhm.
would be brown. Or some people would say reddish. So the word dark is nowhere to be seen. Now Hassan means beautiful. Al Jism means body. But in the book by At-Tirmidhi, the author, Abu Isa, said that the hadith of Anas is Hassan Sahih Harib. And Harib means odd or strange. And that's the
Right.
best they could come up with. That's the only time where they had a hadith that allegedly described Muhammad as brown, but they like to say black though. you know,
Right.
Otherwise, all these other hadith, he's described as white clearly. I mean, you have all of those, and those are Sahih Muslims, by the way. Now At Tirmidhi, I don't think it's Sahih, but all the others, you have Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. We have also Sunan Dawood, you know. I mean, dang, but those people, they are skilled, they're skilled. And of course, oh, we have Daniel Heru. I didn't see you, brother. Welcome. Feel free to speak, brother.
What's up, brother Harold?
Peace, 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 brother. Chapu. Hey, I just wanted to ask y'all a question while y'all doing y'all bill, because as y'all going through, uh, certain things are coming up, and I wanted to ask. One of the questions I want to ask is about, when we start talking about the Asiatics as they come in somewhere around the 12th, 13th, 15th, dynasty up into 18th dynasty. Um, Asanka, for sure, like there's brothers like Lex and some others, Zion, that talk about how the Asiatics come in. Now, from me doing studies on ancient Kemet, right, and I start looking as they start to form the delta pretty much because the upper Kemet it had already had kingdoms by the White Crown. I hear these Asians coming in or around the border, but in any history book they don't ever say Afro-Asiatic. It's only Asiatic. So how are now these brothers saying, "Oh, Kemet, oh, their language and all this stuff" to Afro-Asiatic, but you can't find that in. Well, I have not found that in any book. If y'all can
Okay.
expound that a little bit.
Can I ask you who said that Kemet owes their language to Afro-Asiatic?
No, they said that Afro-Asiatic is. I think Commission was one of them that said that. You might know him. He was on Assam Ka. Was it Commission who said that?
I think Asar Emetep is the one who's pushing the Afro-Asiatic, right?
Yeah, it was one of those brothers. They kept saying it is like saying that they was trying to define it by haplogroup and saying that they came from the area. They were Africans who went into Northeast Africa, Levant, and then they spent 10,000 years there. Then they come back down and they come into Hapi or Taiseti, right? And then they move back up to the Delta where the Egyptians owe all their language, their lives, their culture. They know all this,
Oh, I get you. Yeah, it's like the back migration
right?
theory, you
But
know. Uh,
I can't find Afro-Asiatic in books. I only hear
And you
about
won't,
Asiatics that come
and you
in.
won't. Yeah,
Oh,
there's two things with the term Afro-Asiatic. One, when you deal with the Afro-Asiatic, it's based off of Proto-Bantu, and Proto-Bantu was considered a pseudo language. So you're not gonna find like Afro-Asiatic uh per se under anything Kemet, especially with E.A. Wallace budging them initially, because obviously there was a narrative push that these were Europeans, and that's why they always say our inheritance. What you will find, look in the look in the beginning of his book on Asar. I think it's Asar, and read his precursor. In the precursor, you're gonna find him say stuff like the people of the Congo, the people of so and so. They have the same verbiage, they have the same literature, they have the same, you have the same linguistic party with them. Other than that, what they try to do is say that Egyptian is basically the language right before Semitic, but they won't call it a Semitic language because there's so much Negro blood, as they put it. So that's kind of how they classify it. But if you want to decipher it, you have to do what a lot of us have been doing. I had to go through the Maasai dictionary and find words like Shuma'at. Shuma'at means up in the Maasai language. Um, is Kuka something means black, right? And it has all the same terminologies as their black word. They have the same calendar system. They have the same, you know what I'm saying? You have to go dig and dug and do your studies. Then I finally found an Egyptologist who said I have to include the Messiahs, the people of the ancient Egyptian culture, because the language is just like this. And he had even more cognizance than me. I've got about 10 to 20 right now, and I'm trying to build at least 50 before I present a particular work that I'm working on as well. Um, But that's where you find it at. So when you start to find those cognates, you start to find the similarities in the culture, and you start to ask who was in this region. Like, I don't know a culture who was before the Maasai 3400 BC in the northeast area of Africa that ruled it. And we know about the war with them and the Somalis, and they both testify to it. And you get the Il Asar clan from the Maasai people. So these are the different things that you have to dug, and go to the Maasai dictionary, the Ma'a language online, Ma'a dictionary, M-A, comma A, just like Seshu Ma'ani Medu Netra. You've got the Ma'a language of the Maasai. And once you get to that Ma'a dictionary, start looking for those words that you think they might have in common, and you're going to see the similarities. And that's when you'll start to build cognates. But you won't find, I don't think, Afro-Asiatic unless it's a new book.
But there's that video that I've put up very recently. It's a quote from Egyptian Grammar in his third revised edition. And he goes like this. He says, Egyptian must certainly be classified as standing outside the Semitic group. You know, yeah, indeed, Afro-Asiatic is like Indo-European. You know, they add the Indo-European, the European to the Indo, because when we deal with European only, it's not that ancient. Those are just language family, language final. Man, I'm not even tripping on that.
No,
I'm not
I
tripping on
gotta
that.
go real quick, brothers. Imhotep, let me step in. I gotta step in the store real quick. I'll talk to you guys soon. Imhotep.
All right, brother. But feel free, brother Daniel, if you have any other questions, statements.
Okay. Yeah, and about the actually the priesthood, because this has been going on now, right? About the focus seems to be what is a priest, what is not a priest, in the Kemetic culture, and who is saying they're a priest. So when they say that the priests have to should know the language, that was good. I'm glad you answered it, right? I mean, like, do they have to be fluent in the language, or do they have to have basic knowledge of the language? Considering that the priesthood is departmentalized as far as in the Egyptian culture, all the way from just your labor worker all the way to your high priest. Um, and so where is the um where is the standards for each, like for instance, like a priest that worked in a temple who was, say, a cook, would he also be would he also have the same requirements or standard as a high priest to know the language?
Uh, I never come across a priest being a cook. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
but it's safe to say that the priests were literate and they knew the writing, they knew the language. And as of today, I would say yes, indeed. Anybody that says that he's a Kemetic priest, he must have some basic knowledge of the language. And basic knowledge doesn't mean just knowing how to read names. Like a few sentences. The most common sentences, the offering formulas. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's the least. And we made the analogy with someone who claimed to be an imam and not knowing Arabic. That's very unlikely. You rarely see an imam who doesn't know Arabic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, those just some of these questions is from responses from others outside of the community who try to pick at the Kemetic community to devalue um, certain positions or accomplishments within it. And so that's why I was wondering, like, about as far as about the language, I would think that.
I don't know if you can see her. Okay, you're muted now, brother. You're muted. You're muted, brother Daniel. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
you,
So
you,
I was
you
just
were muted
as
for about
no, my problem. So
20
yeah,
seconds. Yeah.
yeah. So as I learn the language, not learn language, as I study and learn, I would think that the high priest would know the language, would would have a basic understanding of it, as a high priest. So I'm just learning, as far as the history, the culture, and as I'm learning that part of the language. I'm not. My goal is not to be a priest, but when you're dealing with certain other people who in other cultures, you know, it is I think it's important that you know the culture and you know the history as well as be familiar with the language, especially if you're studying the tradition or
Yeah,
practicing.
yeah, and I agree. I mean, this like there's that small book by is it Wilkinson? I've quoted that book. I mean, I have it over there. My son is sleeping now. It's in the living room, but it's a very short book. Just forgot the title. It's just a short red book. I think he actually participated in the book by B.M. Manley and what's the other guy's name? Uh, how to read Egyptian hieroglyphic. That's B.M. Manley and the other guy is called. Let me put up his name because it escapes me now. Word list. If I go at the end, B.M. Manley and
Hey, brother.
oh
Hey,
yeah,
I got to
about it.
get back to work, but I want to
Oh,
stay
okay.
tuned. But I'm gonna get back to work, and I'm gonna listen in, and definitely put in the chat or a link your classes for Meduneta.
Well,
Um,
it's just my email address.
it,
It's in yeah, but it's in the description of the video.
okay, good, good. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I gotta sign off, but I'm gonna definitely keep listening though.
yeah. Okay, thanks for coming in, brother.
No problem,
So okay, let me open the right slide. The right slide there. Bear with me. It's loading right now. It might be be unmanly because if I do a search, how to read. Mark Collier, yes, indeed, Richard Parkinson, not Wilkinson. Richard Parkinson, and if I put it up on Amazon.com, and I'll put hold on. Yeah, that one there. There's a book called The Pocket Guide to Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyph, How to Read and Write Egyptian Hieroglyphs. I mean, that book is probably less than 100 pages. Yes, it is 96 pages. See? Now, if you just read that book, you will know more Medu Nature. I mean, it's less than 100 pages. You can read it in probably a couple of days. And whoever reads that book, you will know more Medu Nature than some people. And I'm not trying to throw shots, but you'll know more Medu Nature than some people who claim to be priests, and that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. So whoever's claiming to be a priest, just do some sort of boot camp. Take 2 weeks or 1 month, and learn at a high pace. And then when you're in front of some artifacts, then you can really show that you have knowledge. Besides just reading names. And because we have enough problems like that. Where you have enough problems like that, we have enough people dissing us, and that's something that should be cleared. You know and as for the other pseudos, plagiarizing and stuff like that, either we accept plagiarism, or we don't accept it. But we need to do some. We need to be straight. We need to be thorough. When you have different Christian movements, they have some hierarchy, and you can be sure that depending on the hierarchy, those people, the higher up they are, the more knowledge they have. Now, if it's a business, a corporation, someone can be at the top. He doesn't really know what's going on. He just has that position and he makes decision, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to a religious or cultural movement, it's different. You gotta have the knowledge. Yeah, get you back on the sound card. But brothers and sisters, if you have any questions or comments, just feel free. We've been going on for 2 hours and 25 minutes. I don't mind if this participation. You know what I'm saying?
Had to run in the store real quick. Pardon me, fellas. Here.
No, no problem. No problem. Yeah. Brother Daniel, he said he had to, go back to work, but
Man, you have
he
you
said he
come
was.
back in the building, man. Come back in here with your brothers, man. Nah.
Said he has to work, but he asked me for the email for the class, so we'll see. Maybe he take a few lessons, but trust me, brothers and sisters. It's not rocket science. You can definitely get to learn. You can. I mean, there's a Hebrews brother's name that was mentioned. I can tell he knows a little bit. He knows the uniliteral, the biliteral. He has some knowledge, and at some point, it is also embarrassing for Kemetic people when you have a Hebrews or like that's in here. Now he knows Hebrew apparently, and then he knows some Medu nature, and he's in here flexing on y'all. That's not a good look at all. That's not a
No,
good look at all. Now I heard there's some committee conference or something, war conference going on. I'm like, who's gonna be there? Like the plagiarizers, the pseudos, the people who barely know the Medu nature, people who can just read a few names. Who's gonna be there? And I'm
I'm gonna
saying,
be there.
you
I'm
know,
gonna be.
I mean, we will have people with Kemetic names who don't know the Medu nature, and just rolling with some team people who say F the Medu nature and all that. I mean, nowadays, it's just so good, man.
I'm gonna be there for sure because we got to get some straightening going on. Um, and of course, I'm gonna show my brothers respect and love, and I'm gonna venerate them on top of that. But we also need to do some straightening. Certain things need to get handled, and that's exactly what I come to do because we're going to war. So yeah, bring your war paint, bring your war face. The arrows will be up. The Seshu will be in the building. The Medzai will be in the building. All those things. The Asar will be in the building. The Shemsu Asar. So, yeah,
What
no,
what
know
month?
what
What
it
month?
is.
What month is it?
Huh?
Which month would it
I'm
be?
waiting for them to set the date. But the war conference, uh, I got wind of Saber Reggie. We was talking about it, but I already told him. I said I'm gonna touch down. I'll probably shoot over to Harlem or Brooklyn with one of my old cliques, and then we just gonna make it happen. I'm not even. I ain't even playing with nobody when I come in there. I'm just coming in there to do what's necessary. If you have a dispute, we're gonna dispute it on camera so that people can see the outcome. If you don't have a dispute, just hey, that brother is and keep it moving because I'm coming to do what I come to do. Come to do what I come to do. It's necessary right now, man. It's too many.
But the,
It's too many. It's the same people running around now. When it was Kemet on trial, you could find all these people in arms. They riding for ancient Kemet. Now all of a sudden, you ain't got no connection to East Africa. You ain't got no connection to South Africa. You're only from the west coast of Africa, even though your DNA keep putting you in the Congo, Ethiopia, and West Africa. So it's I'm coming to do what I gotta do.
I mean, yeah, now we have some brothers, they love to say that, we're not from Kemet, we're not from East Africa, we're from West Africa. And like I said, many times they don't know a single culture of West Africa. They don't even care about any culture of West Africa. It's just a talking point. And it's just basically to try to deter people from following this culture of Kemet, which is a beautiful culture, which lasted a long time, and for which we can thank for the alphabet, and there's so many other things. And once again, to me, if we're talking about a miracle that we can witness, the Great Pyramid of Giza will be one of them. You know what I'm saying? Yet to be reproduced. Some people will say it would be just a waste of money to just do that structure without people being able to be housed inside. I understand it, but it still shocks the world to this day. You know what I'm saying? So this, and it's not only that. Also, that's cliche to talk about the Great Pyramid of the Giza Plateau. There's so many other indication of this high science. The mummification and so many other things. But to keep it real, it's always the same thing. The reason why black people are deterred from it is because of the Abrahamic narrative. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in France, I used to work with some people who claim to be Kemetic, and some of them, they are from Muslim background, and they in here going to meetings and stuff like that. Their own family members don't even know that those guys are Kemetic. And if
No.
if you are in this situation, I mean, you might as well just remain into the Abrahamic faith that you are in. Because I mean, if you cannot even tell your father and mother, your brother and sister, that you're not following the Abrahamic way of life, what's the point? You know?
Well, some people they and I had to help my brother Kofi, when he first embraced, you know, an African spirituality. It was this one first, but he was nervous to tell his parents, right? Because his parents they were, you know, come from that Christian foundation. You down south, it's a whole nother mindset. So when you step out on that ledge, it may not be easy. So there's methods to it, and certain people are scared. But you should start to inch little by little, step by step, until you get there. And one of the best ways to start first, don't pick up the book of Coming Forth by Day. You're not dead yet. You're still alive. I want you to go pick up some wisdom texts from some of the sesh that were alive. Your Petahateps, your Nebawis, your different sesh that were alive. Kagimna, there's tons of different sesh, Ankh Shashank. Pick their information up first, so you make sure you want to move this way. Now you're going to be familiar with it because you'll see some of the similar things in your Bible and your Quran for some reason.
Yeah, for
My
some
my
reason.
Lord is an hour, all that stuff, and a day to you is like a second to my Lord. All that stuff is in there, stuff like that, right? Honor thy mother and father, so you will prosper. All that's in there. So it won't be unfamiliar. You won't be talking to unkindred souls, but you can also see who they are. Their stellars are on the wall. So it's going to be you talking to you. And if you're not, if say you're European, it's going to be the old voice talking to you. If you're Arab, it's going to be that old familiar voice talking to you. And when you see that old voice talking to you, I want you to venerate and respect it. This way you start to come back to having a full respect for people, all people. Your black brothers and sisters who started what you call civilization today, who you later deemed heathenistic, etc., etc. You'll hear
And,
that familiar voice.
and
That's what you do.
brother Osam, I'm wondering now. I don't really have an indication of numbers, but I'm wondering. I'm thinking maybe there might be more white people wanting to commit than black people.
I believe you're right.
There's a lot of white people are into Kemet. Not only they are into Kemet as a religion and a way of life, but they even refer to themselves as pagan. They say
Yes,
they follow the pagan religion. They don't even have a problem using that word in the etymological sense. And you have some of them. They have some YouTube channels, and they show this is how I worship Isis. This is how I worship Ma'at, and they talk about it. They talk about their journey. But with
yes.
black people, we have a few flag carriers, few people in the front, and this is a testament. This is a testimony, you know, and we can see when Smash is doing live stream, other people doing live stream. Of course, when Smash doing live stream, he has a lot more people in attendance, But it's always the same thing. When it comes to people being anonymous and unidentified, we can make names and doing the typical greetings, that they could never read. Yeah, we have a few here and there, but if we compare to the Christians who are in the street, who are talking to the people about their faith, and I'm not saying that as if we should have committed people in the street talking to people and say, here was our faith. We would like to invite you in. But at least they are ready to do that. You know what I'm saying? But us, without even having to go anywhere, for people to be there and show their face and say, yeah, I'm down, you know, We don't even have it. We don't even have it. And it's just a great shame. I was talking to this Jehovah's Witness, and he told me I never knew that. Jehovah's Witness, and maybe they don't exactly do the same thing, but he told me that out of the week you must tell them you must have at least like a day or half a day that you are available, and then you will go to the street and talk to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's commitment. You know what I'm saying? But he always sleeping, and that's why I don't like fence riders. I don't like fence riders because instead of like being here talking about, okay, does Kemet mean the black? Does Kem mean black? Is Ra volcano? I mean, we could go way further than Leo talk. You know what I'm saying? And every now and then we will have some Abrahamic believers who will try to throw salt in our game. It's understandable because what we represent is kind of in opposition with what they represent, and you have to come to terms with that. You know what I'm saying? You will face hostility. You will face what's the word? Um, Opposition. You know what I'm
Adversity.
saying? It doesn't
Adversity.
mean that you have to fight or go to war, but it's a reality. So you have to be ready and prepared. You have to be ready to represent. If people diss your belief system or your way of life, you know what I'm saying? If people say throw Kemet in the garbage can, throw Kemet in the garbage in the trash can, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear, oh, it's from an organization that's been there for a long time, and I don't want to hear that foolishness. You know what I'm saying? Stand up for what you believe. I'm not saying once again go to war or go and fight, but why don't you represent?
Right. And when you say stuff like that, you read these stories about Jesus going through adversity. You read these stories about Muhammad going through adversity. Here's your chance to be that. Here's your chance to be Haru, who had the banquet set. Here's your chance to be Ramos. Here's your chance to be Erie Cat. You understand? Here's just This is the opportunity right now for you to live that in modern times and really get something auspiciously done and make a connection for Africa that has never been seen before. Because right now we got ideas. We about to we got ideas. We're over there. We got all types of stuff moving. But
I'm telling you, it's true. It's true. There's a brother. He's been taking the classes, and he was living in the UK, and then he went to the motherland, to handle some stuff. He stayed there for a few months, and he was telling the people about the mother nature, and he would probably go back there over there to the motherland. So, we have, and I've been giving classes to people, in different parts of the world. So, you know. If we can act as a community, even though at first it's an online community, but there's strength in numbers. We have to be realistic. We cannot just be like 20 Kemetic people worldwide and we're gonna make a big change. You know what I'm saying?
it starts
So
with that.
yeah.
So I don't even knock the numbers, but if they don't know us, AfroStyly.com was around for a long time. Kemet Empire was around for a long time. That's his creation and my creation. Kemet Empire I gave to Phil Valentine because they wanted to name the school after that. Remember, I had Kemet Empire on the podcast on uh uh what was that podcast thing that used to pop up all the time? Uh
Oh, by the young brother. I forgot the name.
yeah,
There's a young
podcast.
brother. I think it was from Detroit. When the Ning Network came out, yeah, he used to be called Chief Liberation.
Yeah,
Is it that
all
one you
that
talking
stuff.
about?
We'd be all on there. We'd be all on it. I had the Kemet Empire podcast. I had
Mm.
the Kemet Empire website. That's where you seen a lot of these pop up. And then I gave it to Phil Valentine because they liked it, and I was like, run with it. I had uh the praise the divine.org website. I'm about to bring that back up. So all of that stuff right there, all of that, AfroStyly.com. He been doing this thing. We've been doing this for a long time. And so, get familiar.
18 years ago, 2004,
That's right.
AfroStudy.com. And Phil Valentine, I don't have anything, against him personally, but, he's really into metaphysics. So, I'm not really, yeah, I'm not. I mean,
You, you know,
no matter who's dealing with metaphysics, I'm not paying much attention to it. And for a while, there were like, and it's a bit when people talk about Kemet at one point. people will think of Fair Valentine and Bobby Hemmett. You know, and now we don't really hear about Bobby Hemmett like that. I know that Phil Valentine has that website like Chemical Physics or whatever, and Reki Tiamen, she used to give classes over there, but uh, she's no longer giving classes over there now. I don't know why, but
She
he
has her
would.
own website now.
Yeah, well, I think she had the Metal.com before that Chemical Physics. I mean I don't really know how long Chemical Physics has been there, but but I'm pretty sure that at the time she was giving classes on Phil Valentine's platform, she had her own website as well, and her own classes and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know what happened, but it is what it is. I mean, Phil Valentine, he basically have the onk, on his hat. You know, he might talk about Kemet every now and then, but for the most part, I hear him talking about metaphysics. You know what I'm saying? And of
Right.
course, there's that, the wounded womb. So he talked about feminism and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I mean, I'm trying to be very diplomatic. I don't have anything against Phil Valentine, but
Well,
uh,
we don't even need to. Yeah, we don't even want to. We don't even got to touch on their disciplines so much
yeah,
as
yeah.
the
All I want
connection.
to say, to the young brothers and sisters, who want to learn about Kemet, I would not recommend that you go to Phil Valentine. You know what I'm saying? And that's respectfully, because his main thing is metaphysics. There's plenty of video of him that you can find on YouTube, and he will talk for 3 hours, 4 hours. If you understand what he's talking about, more power to you. I don't. And it's the same with Bobby Hamid as well. Bobby Hamid, he said a lot of things that it's just um strange to me, and I'm being diplomatic, what I'm saying. So, deal with the text first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? Deal with text first and foremost, and you will go far. And you will actually learn about Kemet and learn about other civilization. You will be familiar with some Arabic terms, some Greek terms. You will get a better understanding of what history is, because once again we have the records. We have the records. They are in the museums and in the temples. But those Abrahamic believers, you can do the test. Ask them for each patriarchs. Now we have Garfield who's going, he's going crazy. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know what kind of boost or check or
My
whatever
man.
happened. But now he's on a campaign to prove the historicity of Jesus, because apparently John the Baptist is confirmed historically, and so is Jesus. So go ahead. I'm waiting for the records. Where are the records? The
You
experts
know,
tell you there's not a single record during the
I
lifetime
think
of
I
Jesus.
have the oldest attestation, a picture of it, and it's from uh the Teledet Yeshua. So you already know what that's about. You ever know, if you know anything about the Teledet Yeshua, and that's from the Hebrews. But it's not even there's nothing to confirm he lived. It's just a statement concerning him in maybe 1 or 2 BC at the most. Let me get off of here though, my brother. I gotta step into another store. Imitep sending Aquas to Judge. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to my brother. Take
Yeah,
the
but
class. $10. Take the class.
do I send Okuja send there hotel? Yeah, brothers and sisters. So I can be there for a little while. It's been 2 hours and 43 minutes actually. But I mean, I'm in a nice mood. I'm in a nice mood. Daughter's sleeping. My son is sleeping as well. So I'm good now. If there's some participation, then feel free. You would not catch me every time. So take this opportunity. But believe in yourself, brothers and sisters. Believe in yourself. We don't need the Abrahamic belief system to move forward. We don't need to ally ourselves with people who disrespect Africa and Africans, and sometimes Black people in general. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those this conscious community talk, this so-called unity stuff. You know what I'm saying? Those people have been talking that stuff for so many years. If it was effective, then we would have seen the result by now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those books that they're buying, they're not producing those books. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that the clothing that they're wearing as well, they're not producing it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the suit and tie or suit and bow tie or the Power Ranger looking attire that some people be wearing. You know what I'm saying? So some attire that they saw on some books. You know what I'm saying? Because when we look at the depictions, when we look at the historical depictions of the Canaanites and people of the Levant, we don't see anybody dressed like that. I I have not yet seen anybody dressed like that. So that's for the literature. That's for the clothing. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things we can do, but indeed there's strength in numbers. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like you are an Israelite or an Arab, or you want to follow whatever faith, whatever belief system, you want to be a Buddhist, you want to be a Hindu, you want to be following Zoroaster, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? But there's no fence riding, there's no melting pot. You know what I'm saying? You don't see no Muslim Christian, you don't see no Muslim Hebrew. So don't try to come up with some, Kemetic Christian, Kemetic Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Because some people are trying to do that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know, I've documented that in the past. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't fly. It's just incompatible. It's not compatible. You know, so it's time to get serious. We have plenty of material to refer to. You know what I'm saying? Of plenty of writings, we can get serious. A lot of people are into debates nowadays. They're debating. Now, at one point, people are debating. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll leave it there, man. But they want to debate everything and anything under the sun. If it attracts people, more power to them. Make money with that, more power to them. But at some point, what about us? What about the way of life what we want to follow? What about it? You know what I'm saying? Do you value Kemet? Do you value Kemet? Do you value the meta nature? If you value the meta nature, why don't you learn it? Why? Because some clowns told you it hasn't been deciphered? Because some clowns said, F Kemet, F the meta nature? Be thorough. Don't change your direction because every now and then a few people just said some negative stuff about it. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're not convinced, then it is what it is. Now, if you're convinced, push for it. Represent. Don't be an anonymous troll for the rest of your life. Sometimes, if people are underage, I can understand you're underage, you're living at your parents' house. If you make certain statements about religion, they might not like it. You don't want to have a problem. But if you're an adult, you're a grown man, you're supposed to be a master of your destiny. What are you afraid about? What are you scared about? What are you scared of? What are you afraid of? You can't come out and say I'm Kemetic. You can holler on Kemetic platform and say I support, I'm down. You know what I'm saying? So at least the future generation will see what's up. And it's good to document. Look at the amount of super chat or super stickers ever since I started. Zero. When I was telling people, you can, support me $1 a month. Even that doesn't happen. $1 a month. That's too much because they don't put value into it. But they will go to the club, they will make it rain. They will consume the alcohol. They will consume that narcotic. They will consume those designer clothing and whatnot. They'll put money on all those things for fun, entertainment, for showing out. But for something that's supposed to be so significant, no, it doesn't deserve any dough. It doesn't deserve any money. I want it for free. And some people love free stuff so much, and that's why when you hear them spit their game, they talk a whole lot of nonsense because they heard it on YouTube, they read it on Wikipedia and other websites, and now we have people, like I said, who go online and say that glyph here means Allah. Come on, and we're making a fool out of ourselves. They're making the black community look bad. When you have someone who comes up publicly and say that glyph means Allah, you're making the black community look bad. How how come we don't have any Arabs that said that? Don't you think the Arabs will be happy to show some writing that says Allah way before the time of Muhammad? Don't you think they will be happy? Why they don't talk about this? This is a hoax. This is fiction. This is fiction. So you have a whole lot of confusion, and actually, uh, it's a confusion community. The so-called conscious community is a confusion community because you have the Moors who talk about their Islamism, you know, who claim some so-called black rulership of Europe, which is a hoax. They claim so many things. You have the black Muslims who are delusional, talking about Prophet Muhammad was jet black and his family was jet black. All of them say that, but some of them do. You know what I'm saying? And they're romanticizing so much, and they'll try to make you think that the way Islam spread through Africa was so peaceful. You know what I'm saying? And even the Ba'ath Treaty, 360 slaves every year that has to be sent by Nubia to Muslim Egypt. Uh, those people who have to send the slave, they are the victors. Isn't that romanticism? Isn't that romanticizing? You know, now the black Christians, you don't have that many, but they will tell you about black Jesus. They will tell you that Christianity is a black man religion, which is so funny, so funny. And then you have the metaphysicians, who will tell you about, where those crystals, drink the alkaline water, and all kind of crazy things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I showed you. I mean, this is like lady, that sister. People talking about immortality, physical immortality, alluding that you can grow an arm back if you like a reptile. You know, you're happy with that. You know what I'm saying? And many metaphysicians, one thing that they was slick with is to actually somehow, some way, deal with Kemet a little bit, talk about Kemet a little bit. And for a long time, people have associated metaphysics with Kemet or Kemetic science, Kemetic wisdom, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to know who is who, what we're dealing with. You know, number one, we want to be Kemetic, learn the language. Learn the language. If you talk about something, some text, let us know where you get it from. So we know if you just woke up and you decided to come up with it, to pull it out of your what, or if you can give us some reference, because there are some people out there are professional at that. For years they've been making up stuff. For years they've been trying to tie the so-called Kemetic teaching with the Abrahamic belief system in an effort to validate the Abrahamic belief system or give some explanation of the Abrahamic belief system. You know, that melting pot will not get you anywhere. And pay attention to what the experts say, to what the scholars say, because we have a new era now of dumb suckers who are invalidating the scholars, the specialists, when themselves they don't have any degree whatsoever. I mean, it's really the world upside down. It's like the promotion of ignorance, you know. And like I said, I saw this video from a doctor, and he made that video out of frustration. And he talked about someone who was like a truck driver, and the dude was a medical doctor. And then the person told him, well, doctor, my opinion matters just as much as yours. And he was like, hell no. No. Now, if he does, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You notice, though, you have a lot of people, I mean, they will know how to heal everything. They will know how to treat everything. They have solutions for everything. But they will go to the doctor or to the hospital when they are sick. Now they no longer have all the answers. They know who they can talk that game with. And that's why many times I say they don't even respect the black community. They don't respect black people because they were there invalidating. They're there to invalidate the black scholars, the black PhDs, the real scholars. But for the most part, they don't do that with the white scholars. Or when they're faced with European, Caucasian professionals, people who have credentials in their field, they don't be talking that stuff. They're not trying to challenge their views, their ideas. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I mean, I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Some of you might feel, well, the conscious community, there's so many of them, and if you want to roll with the philosophy of numbers, yeah, they are more numerous, but for the most part, it's just really a house of confusion. It's a community of confusion where they are all over the place. And the thing that solidifies this conscious community is the Abrahamic belief system. I mean, now in 2022, you mean to tell me that uh, I mean, people have been talking about this 12 tribe chart. Where does that come from? Did any Greek writers talk about the 12 tribe chart? Do we have writings about the 12 tribe chart during the time of slavery? Do we have any mention of it in Spanish, in Portuguese, in French, in English? Well, in English, yes, we will. We will. That will be very, very recent. Somebody woke up one day and he came up with that tribe and now that chart, and now people are trying to push that to us. And the more science teaching is the same thing. Somebody woke up one day and said, "We are this," and there it goes. That's our history. And we all know that the so-called seven circle Quran was plagiarized. You know, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ and another book. But apparently it's all good. Just let go of fictional stories and fairy tales and deal with history. There's enough history for us to deal with. We don't need to continue with those fictional stories and fairy tales. Those guys are transformers, I'm telling you, man. And a lot of them actually, out of the community of confusion that people call the so-called conscious community, I mean, they've been around, man. They've been around. A bit like Dr. York. You know, was like an imam for a long time. He was a priest. For a while. Then he was like talking about Kemet, but being a Moor as well. And you have some people like that. They mean to many different school of thoughts. It's not a good look at all. It's not a good look at all. How many PhDs ever talked about the 12 tribe chart? Brothers and sisters, have you ever heard a PhD talking about the 12 tribe chart? Have you? Have you? So should we give some validity into it? Should we consider it seriously? The 12 tribe chart is like people who say that rise a volcano. Pseudo. Nothing else, nothing more. But they really believe in it. They're trying to push that stuff. Just like they're trying to make some analogy or some interpretation of that Deuteronomy 28. America is Egypt now. Once again, brothers and sisters, we have depictions of the Asiatics. We have depictions of them. And we have a fair bit of depiction of them. Not only from Kemet, but from their own territories. And I'm telling you, just go to a museum and go to the section, to the department of the Levant, the Near East, Mesopotamia, Sumer, Akkad. Go to this department, go to this area, you will clearly see their phenotype. You will. And if you don't want to go, there's a video in the description called White Semites Black Awakening. I took the time to go to several books, and you have those depictions. You have pictures of those depictions. Clearly Caucasoid, clearly Caucasian, clearly white/pale skinned, not black people. Even in Israel, Jehu, something like that. You can see the depiction. You can see the hair. I mean, it's so crazy now that people are talking about black Greeks with some vase of pottery. It's all over the place. It's not a good look at all. Not a good look at all. So if you want to be part of some community where they are numerous, but you are a bunch of fools, and more power to you. But you don't have to be. You know, how many people come in here and challenge the information? How many of those people tell you about the 12 tribe chart? How many of them do you see them challenging the historians and scholars? How many artifacts are they showing you? Those Hebrews or lights, how many artifacts have they ever shown you? Those black Muslims who talk Fard Muhammad, how many artifacts have they ever shown you? It's amazing that you have some civilization with plenty of artifacts that we find in many different museums in different parts of the world, but some people come up with some literature, they don't show you a single artifact, and they try to tell you, okay, this is what we are. We come from that tribe. How many PhD ever talked about the tribe of Shabazz? Some people study, they study in the field of Islamic studies. How many times is the tribe of Shabazz mentioned? How many times is Yaqub, the big head scientist, mentioned? Dr. Wesley Muhammad, PhD, I remember when he was interviewed in Harlem, and he talked about Yaqub, and he said, if you look in Kemet, you have Yaqub. Yes, you have a Yaqub in Kemet. That's nothing to do with the big head scientist. We cannot just be all over the place like that. And all those Moors telling you that black people ruled Europe. Europe. Who? What's their names? What territory did they rule over? What are their depictions? What are their paint? Now we have depictions of black eunuchs, people who look after the ladies in the harem, people in a subservient position. I'll have plenty of depiction of those. But rulers, please. The best they will do is show you the flag of Corsica. Look at the flag of Corsica. For real. Now, when it comes to Kemet, if you study history and archaeology or Egyptology, and those artifacts, they are mentioned. Actually, they are not just mentioned. If you go to a museum, they are on display. Isn't it strange that when we go to museums, we don't see anything about the Black Moors? We don't see anything about the tribe of Shabazz. We don't see anything about Deuteronomy 28 and the Black Hebrews were lights who ended up being, you know, in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and all these other Caribbean islands and America. Isn't it strange that when we go to museums, we don't see any of that? Do we have any oral tradition from the slaves, from the enslaved Africans, talking about we're from the such and such tribe of Levi, and Judah, and whatever? Is this an oral tradition? At some point, somebody came up with it, just like Kwanzaa. Just like Kwanzaa, but people want to still celebrate Kwanzaa. Some of you are into fraud and you know it, but you want to keep going because that's all you know. You don't want to learn something else. You don't want to learn something established, something that's validated, something for which we have records, something for which we have attestation. Kwanzaa, plagiarized from the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. I could go on, but then again, even the Church of Scientology is cool now. You accept everything and anything. Someone who was negrophobic, Edwin Hubbard was negrophobic. You accept that. You accept everything. everything that disrespects you as a human being and your ancestors as human beings as well. And then you want to kick knowledge. And then you want to kick knowledge. You have the nerve to want to kick knowledge. That's the state. That's the situation. So future generation, when those people, they will be quite old. They will try to tell you, oh, we try to get together, but the white man, white supremacy stopped us. No, 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 no. Because you had a bunch of dumb AWSs. You had a bunch of dumb people who were happy teaching foolishness, who were happy teaching fictional stories and fairy tales. And some of them because they were getting paid doing so, or others because that's all they know and they didn't want to learn anything else, or they didn't want to have the integrity to say, well, actually, that thing I thought was accurate, I just come to find out it's not tested, so I have to keep it pushing. That's a reality. That's the reality. For future generation, this is what people accept. Listen up.
The railway never reinforced. Road chemist garbage. If you want to get off sensitive, come on, go ahead. About blacks, conquering blacks. Throw Maya in the trash can. Throw out this rock, the slave making God away.
And they will tell you, it was white supremacy. If you don't know white supremacy, you will not understand it, that there was a code. It's white supremacy everywhere. That's why we don't get nowhere. That's what they will try to tell you, future generation. But over and over again, I'm doing some reminder and I'm showing you the anti-Black and anti-African teachings, the fictional stories and fairy tales that they are trying to pass as history. And in the process, they give them millions. Even for a fake school, millions. Black Lives Matters, millions. But when it's time to learn history, Black history, nah. No, I pass. I go have my beer. I go have my Hennessy. I go smoke my weed. I'm gonna buy my rims. I'm gonna buy my sneakers. Gonna buy my Gucci, Louis, Prada. I'd rather put my money in there. Oh, we can do better than this. So, if you want to be Kemetic, once again, learn the language, learn the culture. Don't try to be into some melting pot philosophy. Don't try to appeal to everybody because the other ones are not trying to appeal to you. The Hebrews would like to say that they celebrate the death of Africans. They are not trying to appeal to the continent of Africa. It's not just a country or two that have a problem dissing a whole continent. They're not trying to appeal to that. They're not trying to appeal to them. Amazingly, they're talking as if they don't have anything to do with the Africans. So they were apparently in Canaan, and they found themselves in Egypt, which is in Africa, which was in Africa. And then they found themselves in America, but they don't have anything to do with Africa. You know what I'm saying? Stay safe, stay healthy. But if I'm allowed to by the net, I would definitely holler back at you, Hotel.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving middle nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend everybody I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video Kemet and Ma'at before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Neture classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class. And all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Neture class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/Ma'at Forever.